Remember, we are always dreaming. It's just a matter of whether or not we are awake. Aloha, multidimensional friends, shifters, dreamers from all across this beautiful holographic matrix. Thank you so much for joining in to another exciting, live, inspirational, educational, and entertaining broadcast presented on behalf of ParadigmShiftCentral.com, a real-world interactive game for helping shift consciousness and a portal for inspirational conscious media. This is another Dream Class, a broadcast that we do once a month. My name is Brendon, aka Mystic Spider-Man, Skull Babylon, Wolf Shield, welcoming you here once again, along with some fellow amazing shifters, to be able to have some super inspirational discussion and to be able to practice diving deep into the realms and topics related to dreams, metaphysics, lucid dreamings, dream experience, practical tips, infinity, and beyond. So for the fellow shifters who are here with me in the broadcast, please feel free to gently unmute your microphones, make some noise, and send some love to all the people tuned into this broadcast right now and in the future. So go ahead, guys, just gently unmute yourself and just be like, woo, love you guys, thanks so much. That's exactly what I was looking for. I'm like, give me them elf noises. So, perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you again, everyone, so much for joining in. We are broadcasting live on YouTube and on Facebook. For those of you on either platform, please drop into 1111 to confirm that you guys can hear me loud and clear. And we'll get right into the broadcast along with some introductions from the people here in the circle. And for today's broadcast, and of course, we always got some new leading members to be able to introduce to you. We have myself, Brendon. We have Dan, who has been in previous broadcasts. We have Ariana, and we also have Vanessa. And some of you are going to actually recognize Vanessa. This is the same Vanessa that we had on a previous episode of Leading the Shift. So we are super excited to be able to have her back on air as well. So as we get into this, again, for those of you who may not be entirely familiar with what the Paradigm Shift Central project is, I'll give you a brief introduction. Of course, you want to check out more at ParadigmShiftCentral.com. This is about being able to create sacred digital space to be able to help bring together creators and leaders and to help feature and support them. If you go to the website, you can download our mobile app to be able to help keep you synced up with new content and broadcasts that we got coming your way. And of course, you can also join our team live chat. And of course, you can also check out more stuff at the Quest item shop. You can support on our Patreon. You can learn about becoming a leading member as well. And one thing that I am going to get in the habit of is making sure that within each broadcast, I'm letting you guys know where the Patreon currently is. And so again, for those of you who aren't familiar, Patreon is an awesome platform that artists are using all across the world to be able to help support them in creating the projects that they do, that the community loves to be able to enjoy. And our Patreon, we are currently working towards our end of the month goal of August is 150 Patreon supporters, and we are currently at 92 supporters right now. So if you're enjoying this broadcast, please feel free to support with a monthly micro donation. Your support is what helps make it possible, and you can get additional perks for discounts at the questitemshop.com, which include the shift buttons, light guardian crystals, all sorts of cool stuff. And for those of you who aren't familiar, there is the option for you to be able to join as a leading member, which gives you the ability to be on air during these broadcasts and also to be able to publish content through the main website, be within our conscious media co-op space, to be able to collaborate with other artists, to be able to get involved with our off-air synergy circles as well, and all sorts of other cool perks to be able to help support and just be in that space, that sacred space of other creators working together towards common vision. So again, all the links for that are down below or in the card on YouTube. Please feel free to check those out. And so with that said, again, getting into the topic of this broadcast, this is a dream class. We do this once a month. And the best way to be able to explain what the dream class is to really bring it back to the why of the dream class. You know, like, why are we doing this? I mean, why are we doing the Paradigm Shift Central project in general? Because it's making a difference. It's bringing people together. It's practicing having conversations that we don't always get to have. You know, it might not be a common thing for people to be able to openly talk to strangers and friends or even family members about topics like lucid dreaming or astral projection, or again, like, what are dreams? What is the metaphysical mystery behind dreams? So the why behind doing this dream class in particular within the context of the bigger project is being able to help develop accountability, routine, momentum, and inspiration to encourage anyone listening to this to be able to start paying more attention towards their dreams. Understanding that in the process of doing so, paying attention to our dreams is fundamental to being able to help accelerate our own individual awakening, our own shift in consciousness. It's basically this idea, and I'll start getting into a little bit of how I kind of see dreams and why this is important to me, and then we're going to start passing the talk and stick around, is we are more than our physical body, and a lot of people are making that paradigm shift. And one of the ways how we get to that paradigm shift is through direct experience, in relation to the fact that each night when we dream, we can literally experience what it's like to be in another dimension. And a lot of people, again, even in mainstream culture, may have a hard time kind of like really seeing it this way. But from a personal experience, you can have those moments where you're in the dream, and that moment has a present moment, like a moment of the present now, equally as real as this one here, meaning you can touch things, you can smell things, you can feel things, there's sensations, there's emotions, the colors are sometimes like more vibrant than they even are in this reality. So little things like that can really spark the curiosity within the human mind to start wondering, hey, what is this reality? What is real, right? It's very similar to, you know, stories like Plato's allegory of the cave and the Matrix, and even, you know, things of that nature, where we start questioning the nature of reality. And yet in the process of doing that, that curiosity drives us towards ultimately self-empowerment, towards being able, and this is a big thing that I always explain, the big thing that I feel is dreams are important is understanding that this reality here is another version of the dream space, so to speak. Again, everything's information, think for yourself. Everything that I'm saying, you know, it's just ideas, connect the dots in your own way. But the way I've understood it is that when we start looking at things like lucid dreaming, you see that as you think, so shall you become. If you think of something, things will manifest. And a lucid dream, again, for those who aren't entirely familiar, knowing that we are, you know, bringing in people who may be entirely new to this, is when you're in a dream and you know you're in a dream. Like, you awaken within the dream. And so if you can like teleport with your mind within a dream, you can manifest like a, you know, like superpowers and things like that. Being able to understand that those patterns, those dynamics actually function within this reality as well is fundamental. Like, that's a huge paradigm shift. And so it basically comes back to, again, like responsibility for being able to understand and being able to start to look at this reality very much how we would look at a dream. Can you start seeing the omens? Can you start seeing the symbols? Can you start seeing the synchronicities? Can you start seeing the direct result of your thoughts manifesting in action? It might not be as instantaneous as a dream, but it is happening. So again, the way that I've always said it quite simply is that this is about becoming better dreamers within the dream. We study dreams, we develop our practice, we work on the things in the waking state that help us wake up within the sleeping state. And as we sleep and as we wake up within the sleeping state, we also wake up within this state. So within tonight's broadcast, we're going to be able to hear some personal experiences from people in terms of dreams that they've had. And another part of the why of this broadcast, you know, the entire project, this is about documenting the shift in consciousness. And in addition to people creating their own publications on the website, and we'll talk about one in particular that recently got published, this is also about being able to invite us into a single space where we can show up for like 90 minutes to 2 hours and just pour in some epic documentation and be like, here's what I experienced in another dimension, you know? And then we just bring it back and we're just like, great, this is awesome. Let's archive this. And let's really pay attention to the things that are happening, you know? Let's listen to each other's stories and take note of what is possible. So that is, again, part of the idea. So by you listening to this, I want to encourage each of us to start paying attention to our dream practice, start waking up to that potential that if we aren't paying attention to our dreams, it's like we're missing out on 50% of what this reality has to offer. So who are you within this waking state? That's one question to explore. Who are you within the dream state is something that's going to help you understand more of who you really are. So this is about one thing that I'll just say real quick and then we'll go around, is that I feel that, again, when we're in the dream space, that's like kind of being closer to where we actually come from, the astral realm, things of that nature. And when we're studying this dream space, it's like being able to create a bridge between ourself and our 5D self, whatever you want to call it, that etheric, hyperdimensional superhero version of ourself. And when we start awakening to that, it starts merging our 5D identity into this 3D reality as well. So instead of it just being separate, it actually becomes like this, you're walking around downtown and you're just like, yeah, here I am, you know, like smiling, saying hello to people. But in the back of my mind, I know that I'm like an interdimensional, like, you know, psychonaut traveling through space and talking to like other terrestrial and extraterrestrial and multidimensional beings and jumping in UFOs and exploring the metaphysical mysteries of the universe. So you are an explorer. Every night when you go to dream, it is like a natural psychedelic experience. It is something sacred. What happens when we can start approaching it that way? What happens when we can stop looking at dreams just as being nonchalant data that our brains just reprocessing from the day, which sometimes it is? And what happens when we can really start going underneath the surface, start going deeper down the rabbit hole, and start being like, oh my gosh, these are real experiences and we're learning and we're growing from them. And if we can remember them and integrate them into our being, it can help how we show up in a day-to-day life. It can inspire us. It can help us understand ourselves. It can help us accelerate the rate at which we evolve our soul. Kind of thinking again, as life as a school, if you're learning lessons in the waking life, that's great. But at night, there are lessons coming your way. And as a student, what do you want to do? You want to be able to pay attention. You want to be able to take note of what is happening. And if you're not accurately or intentionally paying attention in class, and then these tests show up, like, are you going to be able to pass them in the same way that you might normally be able to if you were studying and paying attention? So again, no pressure, but this is basically just high school all over again. And we just have to get into the habit of paying attention to what's being brought into our experience. How can we learn from it? How are we growing from it? How can we feel from it? And how can we go deeper, you know? So I strongly uphold the vision that within us is an innate advanced spiritual technology that allows us to connect within this dream space. So in the same way we're connecting through the internet, through this broadcast, more and more of us are starting to open up to this possibility of, hey, let's go to sleep at night and meet in the dream space. And that is possible. And it's starting to become more and more common. So again, I'm super excited to be able to have people here tonight and to be able to dive in deeper for this topic and to be able to explore it here together with you. So with that said, I've already given a little bit about my spiel in terms of dreams, and we're going to start passing and talking stick around. And yeah, after we go through the initial introduction, we'll start going into the dream story. So with that said, Ariana, if you're cool with going first, would that work for you? And please feel free to do so. Okay, perfect. All right, so this is Ariana. Quick introduction. Ariana had been involved with Paradigm Shift many moons back, and now we recently got connected, and she's been rocking it, and she's a certified hypnotherapist coach or something of that nature. She'll tell you a little bit about it, and she's got a lot to say when it comes to dreams. So Ariana, welcome to the broadcast. Go ahead, unmute yourself and say hello to everybody tuned in.
Hello, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. So excited. I'm actually a clinical hypnotherapist now as of January, and I also do coaching for manifestation, meditation. I do spiritual counseling, energy healing, and channeling. And yeah, I'm just super excited to be here, and everything, it was just so well said, and I can't wait to get into this and the talk about dreams. And yeah, you can find me at arialina.com, and I have all my other links there. I'd love to connect with you guys because I just, yeah, want to talk about this stuff all the time. So thank you.
Awesome. And we can go just a little bit deeper just while the ball's rolling.
Yeah.
Why are dreams something important to you? You know, like you can just talk a little bit about even your history with dreams.
Yeah, I have a strange history with dreams. I actually got into my work because I dealt with major depression, suicidal thoughts, and PTSD. So for me, my first dreams, I had a lot of scary dreams. And so I tried to push them away, and that didn't work. But then I started to do a little more research to find out what these dreams were actually meaning. And then I just went, like you said, down this rabbit hole. And on my own spiritual journey now, my dreams are incredible. I've had dreams of being other people, living other lives, living entire lives, and then waking up and be like, oh my gosh, like, where did that life go? So yeah, I've always been very interested in my dreams, and I can't wait to talk more about it.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, again, even for myself, like I don't know what stories you're going to share. So I'm looking forward to this again. You know, this is this in itself, this dream class, for those of you who've seen other broadcasts, this is just another version of, you know, the concept of a synergy circle. This is about team building, getting to know each other, sharing our experiences, helping support each other in our growth. So again, yeah, super grateful just to have everybody here. Ariana, honored to be able to introduce you to the team as a leading member within the Paradigm Shift Central community. So again, welcome. Awesome. Sweet. Okay, so we'll pass the talking stick around, and we may still have some other leading members who are going to be joining throughout the broadcast as well. So Dan or Vanessa, if one of you wants to go next, please feel free to chime in. I know Vanessa's just on voice, so Vanessa, if you want to go next, you can let us know. Otherwise, we'll pass it over to Dan, and then Dan can go as well. So
I'm good. I'm good to go.
Okay, Vanessa's good to go. Okay, perfect. So sorry, so this is, I just unmuted sorry, pulled down the audio for a second, I didn't mean to. Vanessa, this is the same Vanessa who was recently in an episode of Leading the Shift, and she has spent a lot of time doing free hugs, traveling the United States. She's written a book. She has her new website that she just got set up called justhugs.org. And again, I'm super grateful to be able to have you here involved as a leading member in the community. So go ahead, Vanessa. You can introduce yourself a little bit more and tell us a little bit about why dreams and studying dreams are something important for you.
So I'm going to introduce myself first because the dream part I'm less familiar with. But so my name's Vanessa Lee White Fernandez. I live in Pennsylvania in the United States. And as Brendon said, I do a lot of free hugging and have found that very meaningful in my life. And it continues to help me to understand my relationships with other human beings. That's part of why I wanted to become involved as a leading member as well with Paradigm Shift, because I'm interested in finding out how other humans are shifting and opening, and how we're realizing our sameness versus our differences. And yeah, that's been pivotal in my growth and evolution as a human being. And I hopped on tonight because I haven't been able to hop on any of the live broadcasts, but also because I'd love to hear other people's ideas about dreams. My ideas about dreams are um, I come to have a deeper understanding of where I am at about certain issues or relationships or concerns in my life. It helps me to process things when I have that download time at night, and I really appreciate that. I don't analyze my dreams much. I've never considered that it means I'm maybe connecting with other beings in my dream state, but I'd love to hear more about that. I'm curious about it. I'm interested. I'm loving getting to meet other leading members here. So I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vanessa. And absolutely, again, you know, that's one of the reasons why I'm fascinated by the dream topic, is because everybody's relationships with dreams are going to be different, you know? And so being able to get an assortment of those experiences, some people are going to be like, well, the other night I dreamt I was in the Andromeda galaxy again, talking to the Star Council, and they told me I was on a great Indigo mission to save the Earth. And then other people are just like, I have never had a dream like that ever before, and maybe I never will. My dreams are quite different and everything like that. But again, you know, it's being able to understand that that's the very nature of dreams, and perhaps, you know, even just by being able to be in the conversation and listen and just know what is possible, it may plant that seed to kind of open things up. So guaranteed Paradigm Shift, a word of approval or something, simply by listening to Paradigm Shift dream class, your dreams will get shifted. No guarantee, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. we'll see So cool. All right, so Vanessa, thank you again for being here and for bringing all the love with the free hugs everywhere you go. So
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so with that said, we'll pass it over to Dan. Dan, you're ready to introduce yourself? And this is Dan, who's been in previous broadcasts, multimedia artist, does some really cool psychedelic imagery, bringing the ineffable into form, and lots more. So Dan, go ahead, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about why dreams are right up your alley.
Hello, I'm Dan. Yeah, so I'm an artist, and I guess my relation to dreams specifically would be that it was the first thing for me that when I was younger, where I was just kind of like, we take for granted that every night we go to sleep and we just have these worlds that are just built. And it was always so peculiar to me. And it got me interested in just like more altered states and really just what the mind can do. Because, I mean, pretty much everybody does it. I guess I can't say everybody does, but like, and yeah, it always felt, I don't know if significance is the right word, but yeah, I drew a lot of inspiration from it with my art and all sorts of stuff like that. And yeah.
Yeah, man. And that's actually, you know what? Like it's cool that you mentioned that and that you're here as part of the discussion, because that was actually one of the topics that I wanted to just touch upon tonight. The idea of artists who have taken inspiration from the dream space, you know? Like I feel that's like a very common thing, and also just again kind of like one of those natural abilities as us as humans that many of us have just like, you know, it's not something that is commonly tapped into. So again, kind of thinking about the idea of like dreams being a psychedelic experience, that's definitely something that I'm interested to hear. And I know there's a lot of artists out there who, you know, draw personal experience, like create content from personal experience, many of it being dream space. And again, you know, even for people listening to this, I'm sure you've heard the idea that, you know, like Nikola Tesla, he like got a lot of his ideas from the dream space. Same with Einstein. I'm sure there's a huge list there. I'm sure Elon Musk dreams about Martians or something too. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, as creators, we're doing ourselves a disservice if we're not utilizing our ability to access the dream space. So yeah, Dan, I think it's cool that that's like an experience for you as well. So cool. Dan, anything else that you want to share real quick before we keep passing talking stick around?
I think that's it for now.
Cool. And connect to Dan at Hypnagogus on Instagram, correct?
Yep.
Cool, sweet. And again, for everybody here, the show notes for all the leading members in the broadcast is going to be included into the YouTube info after the recording. So if you're checking this live, be sure to check back tomorrow and make sure that you connect with the link so that you can continue to follow all your favorite leading members as well. And if you're listening to this on our iTunes as well, it's available on iTunes for those listening. Then again, be sure to follow to the YouTube link and smash that like button if you don't mind. So, and for those of you watching this on Facebook, because we're rebroadcasting on Facebook, jump over to the YouTube link at youtube.com/skullbabylon or paradigmshiftcentral.com/live for this and any other broadcast. It's always through that URL, and jump in the YouTube chat and say hello to us there, because we may miss your comments on the Facebook chat, but nonetheless. Sweet. Okay, so being able to pass the talking stick around, we actually do have Erica who was able to join. So welcome, Erica. And Erica, allowing you to get right involved with the discussion, we'll pass the talking stick over to you, and you can introduce yourself and share a little bit about why dreams are important to you. So Erica, passing it over to you. Go ahead when you're ready.
Okay. Well, I'm Erica. I'm a music producer, and I find the dream state a source of inspiration for my songs. I create electronic music.
Awesome. And you mentioned, I saw your post on Instagram that you had a recent dream experience. Is that a story that you might be able to share during the broadcast today?
It was a pretty interesting experience. I was just sort of like half awake, half asleep, and like just, I don't know if it was like astral travel or something. It was really bizarre. I had not had an experience like that before.
Cool. Well, okay, if there's more to that, we can share that story as we go through the broadcast. So
okay, sure.
Cool. So awesome. All right, and with that said, I guess we're ready to kind of like dive into a little bit of storytelling. And again, if anybody has any questions, for those of you in the YouTube chat, if you guys have any particular questions that you might want to share into the broadcast, please feel free to let us know. I did put up a post earlier on Instagram today inviting people to share their most memorable dreams. I've got a few of those that I want to share. And I also have a recording, this is what I was mentioning earlier, from a new shift entry that was published to paradigmshiftcentral.com. That was a lucid video dream log by our friend the Paper Druid, aka Lacey, and we're gonna actually play the audio of that as well for people to be able to check out. And I'll have to oh geez, okay, I'll have to see, because I'm not sure if people in our broadcast will be able to hear that unless I do the screen share properly, so we'll figure that out. But people on YouTube will be able to hear it just fine. Don't worry, we'll get it figured out. Okay, so with that said, I feel as if Ariana, can we pass over to you if you got a story that you want to start off our session with, and then again we'll keep an eye on the live chat, and we'll just continue to, you know, just like skip and dance down the rabbit hole together. So here we go. Okay, thanks again everyone for joining in. All right, Ariana, passing the microphone over to you, so go ahead. Any stories that you want to share, plus any other ideas about, you know, what the heck are dreams and what can we learn from them? Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, just listening to everybody, so much more is just popping in, but I really want to share this amazing dream experience I had. So, a little bit of context. I teach manifestation. I study manifestation. I help people tap into synchronicities and live that. And so this is kind of what I focus on all day, every day. And I had this amazing dream when I was visiting Florida. If you've ever heard of Abraham Hicks and the work that they teach, this channeled teachings about, you know, they recommend waking up in the morning and just seeing how long you can stay in a more positive feeling state. Just wake up and just try to keep that state going. I had this dream in Florida where I kept waking up and there was a being there, but I could not communicate. And every time I would come to, I would die, and I would feel myself die. And it was terrifying. But then I'd wake up again and I'd see that being and I'd die again. And it happened over and over and over again. And I was panicking. But then after a while, I started to be able to stay alive for a longer amount of time. And I started to figure out what was going on, and I started to feel a little safer. And so I figured out what it was after it felt like hundreds of times that I kept dying and being reborn with this being there. I felt it was my energy, my thoughts. Every time I had a thought of doubt or fear, I would immediately die. But every time I kept in this feeling state of love, of trust, of I'm okay, gentle thoughts, everything is going to be all right. Every time if I kept that going, I would stay alive longer and longer until I was finally able to be alive long enough to speak to this being who was a guide. And I kept trying to ask them questions, but then I'd go and I'd have doubts and I'd die again. But then I'd stay longer, and the message they get was, you already know how to do this. You know what to do. And then I woke up. And it was just like, I felt like I was getting trained in how to stay in that positive feeling state. I was getting trained in how to manifest. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful vacation. The synchronicities that I had the next day, I made a new friend who does Reiki, and we shared Reiki together and went on this trip. And it felt like we were gone for 2 years. And we had known each other on another planet. Like, just everything that happened after that dream was magical. So I really felt like I was being trained.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And can you describe what the entity was like what the being was like, if you recall, or even the feeling of it?
Yeah, it was more of a feeling. It wasn't like it was like the feeling I get. It's almost like an aura around somebody. Like it wasn't like a body. It was like an energy aura that just felt kind of like almost mocking, but in like the most loving way. Like, it was like an old wise guide who was just waiting for me to figure out the right question to ask. It was just waiting there, not pushing, just being until I figured it out on my own. And it was just almost like this orangey energy. Yeah.
Interesting. And so, like, I guess like the being wasn't what was causing you to die. It was more just kind of like almost like a sensei, kind of just like, you know, like smacking you on the head and be like, no, you do it wrong, you come back, you try it again, you know. And it's like was it kind of like that almost? Like that's what I'm just like imagining, some sort of like little like I don't know.
It was more
Shenmue
like they
alien.
were watching me hit myself over and over again.
True enough.
Waiting for me to figure out how to stop hurting myself, because that was it. It was me. It was all me that was doing this. I had the power. I had the control. I just had to remember how to use it.
So how, and again, you know, kind of sharing this in a way that could be useful information to others who have listened, and I'm sure we've all had those experiences where, you know, like it might be, well, like I guess for context wise, was it like a frightening experience when you were like, oh no, I'm dying again, or I mean, like even you defined it as dying, like what exactly was happening? Where is it kind of like you were like being like pulled out of the level or something? Like is it like dying is probably the closest word we have for it? Like,
yeah, it felt very, very scary, especially at the beginning. But once I realized I kept coming back, I was like, oh, okay, I'm okay. Like this dying isn't really ending anything. It did feel like I was being like pulled. I was like pulled out and then popped back in over and over again. It was a very strange sensation, which I've died in dreams many times over the years, and it's always been scary, but sort of a weird pulling sensation when I have it.
Interest, like it kind of like you're like being like pulled back kind of type thing.
Yeah, and I love what
fascinating
King Naki was saying, ego death. I love that. Yeah, that is.
Do you want to read what they said?
Yeah, just ego death. I think that's
right. Okay, yeah. For sure. So okay, so going back to what I was originally kind of asking and setting up, what do you feel really helped you kind of like stay in that place of, I guess, I don't know, call it love, harmony, kind of like
gentle.
Like non-resistance, a gentleness? Yeah. Like were you conscious of your breath in the dream? Was it breath even present? Or
yes, the breath. It was calming, you know, because at first I was panicking. You know, I don't know if anybody else has had anxiety where your heart goes like that, you know, constrict, but it was a slowing down. And it wasn't like when I teach people how to manifest, we can't get from the low stage right immediately to the high stage. You have to go in gentle steps. You know, if you're living in, you know, fear, I hate myself, this sort of stuff, you can't immediately start saying, I love myself. It's going to be painful because you don't believe it yet. But if you start gentle and go, you know, I'm okay, things are all right, you know, I'm safe, you know, every human deserves to live, you know, just start gentle until you start getting higher and higher up that energy ladder, you know. So that was what it was for me, was breathing, focusing on slowing the breath and that mindful, you know, coming into the awareness instead of going off with the fear thoughts. It was like a thought would come in of fear or doubt, and you immediately, you know, we run away with it. But it was bringing that mindfulness to the here and now. I am safe. Everything is fine. I feel good. I'm okay. You know, I'll always be okay. And the longer I kept that up, the better it felt, the better I felt, and the more I was learning. It was, yeah.
Cool. And so what, once you kind of like remind me again, how did the dream end? Like, what was, you just didn't die? Like, was that?
No, I had kept trying to ask the guide, you know, I had kept trying to ask him what's happening, you know, and then as I was getting calmer, I was asking, you know, more intelligent, more spiritual questions, but they weren't really answering anything. But I woke up after I had asked something, you know, how do I, you know, keep this going or whatever, something like that. And they told me, I have this power. I know how to do this. Like, it's all in me. I can do this. And then I woke up and I was like, huh, nice. I felt like I just got out of the best classroom ever. Like,
wow.
Oh.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah. Like
it was about 3:30 in the morning too when I woke up.
Oh wow, right in the
Yeah.
middle of the witching hour then.
Yeah.
Super cool. Yeah, that's interesting listening to your dream. Again, I'm sure people have had similar experiences. It definitely reminds me of kind of even like things that we see in like Hollywood movies sometimes. You know, where a character will kind of like die and come back, and they keep kind of going through this process. They're like, damn it, and then they get like hit by a truck, and they're like, darn it, and then they get hit by a piano, and they're like, dang it, and then they finally come back, and they're just like, wait, okay, like now I'm learning, now I'm figuring this out, like let's do this differently. And there's like another path that down the rabbit hole where you can kind of like I'll just put it out there anyways. Again, everything is information, think for yourself. But like there's like kind of like this other idea that, again, you know, like if how death might correlate within this reality. You know, I've heard this think of this as just like a theory, but again, it's kind of like studying what happens in the dream space and applying it within this reality from a more very like hyperdimensional level. One of the ideas that if this reality is very much like a dream, then let's say that this reality is, it's kind of run almost like an advanced computer program, and so you can kind of like go forward and backward at will, and like the information is always there. And so this is just an idea, and again, I'm not saying this is what I believe, but this is just an idea that really just kind of like made me just be like, oh, that's super fascinating. And it's basically this idea where like a soul could actually go through an experience within the physical, and something could happen to them, say like some sort of accident or something happens to them where they get like mortally wounded, and then they might actually go through death, and then it might get to the point where they might even be like on the other side, and then they're just like, actually, you know what, I changed my mind, like I put me back in the game, coach. And then they like send you back, and it's like 10 seconds before that accident happens, and then you go back, and then you might actually like choose a different path, and you avoid that circumstance. And so I've kind of played around with that idea, and there's some people that have like said that they've like almost felt that, where like, you know, they'll kind of like hit the brakes on their car, and they'll see a truck go by, and they'll just pull off to the side of the road and break down, and they'll just be like, oh my god, like not only did it feel like I just avoided death, but a part of me feels as if I died, and I came back and I experienced it, and now I've kind of like caught up with this reality again. And it can be like, again, like a lot to process. There can be a lot of kind of, you know, trauma that can get brought up by that. But at the same time, it can really just kind of bring in a sense of just like super deep gratitude, like, oh my god, life is so fragile, this is going to change my course. And so it's again, it's just an idea, but something that I've observed. Ariana, go ahead, I can tell you got something to say.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. No, it's good.
No, that just brings up, you know, as an energy worker for years, I've always felt and had like feelings about past lives, but now as a hypnotherapist, my work has really confirmed that, because I have people of all different walks of life and beliefs who I don't specifically do past life regression. However, when we ask the subconscious mind to go to the root of the problem, whatever the problem is, which could be, a disorder, a phobia, whatever it is, I just snap my fingers, we go back in time. And I've had so many of my clients go back to being born, go back to the womb, or go back to this tunnel of light in between lives where they had a choice like that, or even past lives have come up. So yeah, this choice and that feeling that you're talking about of like jumping back in the game, yeah, I've had clients feel that trauma and that fear, either from actually dying in a past life or from almost leaving and then coming back.
Fascinating. Very cool. Awesome. Well, I'd love to just be able to, again, you know, in terms of discussion and everything like that, if any of the other leading members has anything they want to add or respond to what Ariana's saying, put in some other ideas, please feel free to do so. And then after that, I want to be able to actually, we'll shift, and I'm just trying to, like, it was fascinating. I enjoyed just listening to it. I'm trying to think about.
Fascinating too.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Yeah. So, and again, if you guys have anything you want to say, just gently, politely unmute your microphone and jump in at any point. That's totally cool. And yeah, you know, like just the whole theme of like dying in a dream is very, very interesting in itself. And again, there's a million topics that we can kind of like branch into, even just the idea of you know, like guides within dreams. One idea that's come up in previous dream classes that has always kind of like made my mind like I don't know, it like tingles. If I feel like a tingling sensation when I think of it. You ever have those thoughts where you just think of it, you can like feel like neurons just be like or something. But again, it's like this idea of just kind of questioning, you know, like are dreams curated by like a higher degree of cosmic intelligence, so to speak, you know? So it's like, again, we're kind of like actors on a stage, and then there's like a director that's kind of like, all right, here's the scene and action, you know, and you're just kind of in it and you're kind of playing a part, and sometimes you don't even know that you're like in the part as well, but and then once it kind of clicks in, and just be like, oh my god, and then you wake up and be like, oh, that was a dream or something like that. But again, it's that idea of this reality is much, 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 much weirder than we suppose, and as some would say, than we can suppose. So the idea of, you know, like understanding how hyperdimensional this reality is, and again, I kind of approach dreams as kind of being like this advanced form of spiritual technology that we're just like starting to tap into, but there's an intuitive part of ourselves that is actually quite familiar with this, and this body is like a super advanced like spiritual spaceship that has the ability to go through these multiple dimensions and everything like that. The idea that, you know, are there beings that are higher up that are kind of like seeing things happening, and every night when we dream, they're actually like trying to create scenarios for us, like they're curating, like sometimes we choose our dreams, but sometimes, like, call it our higher self, call it, you know, like the I don't know, the architect of the program or whatever it is, like, you know, it could be beings billions of years older than us, and we're in some sort of like advanced humans like hyperdelic simulation type thing. That's, you know, we've all heard that, we've all caught up with that theory, right? Okay, anyways, but you know, it's just like that idea again, that's like, you can't help but notice that there seems to be a degree of intelligence beyond our own that is interfacing with us in the dream space. What is going on there? What is that? How can we learn from it? And this is nothing new. This is, you know, stuff that like ancients have been studying. And again, that's why the dream space is such a sacred space, because like cultures in the past, like they would literally see the dream space as a chance to be able to talk to deities, talk to masters, talk to people who have passed on and things like that, see into the future, see into the past, see into parts of themselves. So again, I am always just infinitely fascinated by dreams, and yeah, Ariana, thank you again for sharing yours. Ariana, I'll just pass it back to you before we switch over to Lacey stuff, and we do got other dreams that we're gonna share. Caesar, I see your comment in the YouTube. We can read your dream that you sent me as well, so we'll do that a little bit later on. So Ariana, any other crazy metaphysical thoughts? I mean, surely I'm not the only one who's like had these thoughts, right? Like, I don't know, does this make sense for you? Like, what do you think?
Yes. So I channel, and I didn't plan on channeling, but it's been happening since I was a child. And in the past couple of years, the channeling that I've received has been of beings that are outside of the earth, who are sending energy in and helping us light workers, because there's a sort of shifting going on right now. And so the message is that we need to do this work and bring this light in for ourselves and others, and that they're helping and they're sending. So I would not be surprised if they're also sending dreams and doing things that way.
Yeah, and again, and that's kind of, I've hit upon this before, but it's just, I feel such a powerful idea that, again, you know, it's like, imagine that simplify it. Imagine it's like two guys up in a hyper dimensional computer, and they're just like, oh, okay, this kid's going to sleep tonight. Okay, what dream should we do? Do the one when he like turns into a superhero, and he has to choose whether he's going to save the baby or he's going to save the mom or something like that, or I don't know, do that one, right? I don't know, that's a horrible example, but you know, something that might have like a very powerful lesson in it, and then they send this to them. And so it's like, click a button, sending file. The file gets sent to us. Again, I'm using terms we can understand. And then what happens, this is the idea. What I feel is happening a lot right now is that these higher dimensional beings are constructing like very articulated dreams with a purpose, and then they deliver them to us. But if we're not using our free will and our sovereignty to actively show up with intention and consciousness and to recall them, what is probably happening is that like we're going through these dreams and then we just kind of like they just like slip through our fingers, you know, like we don't remember them when we wake up. Now, not to say that it's complete waste, because the other idea here is that even if it happens to us, it's still being recorded within our soul. And that's one thing that we always have to keep in mind, is that even if we don't recall the dreams, we can still trust that something happened that was supposed to happen. And, you know, because sometimes you may have a vivid recall. Some nights you might just not have any recall, so to speak. But I think when you can get into the habit of developing that recall, you can make sure that you might have a dream that might have been incredibly profound, incredibly psychedelic. Be like, oh yeah, like I talked to Krishna at a coffee shop in my dream last night. I'm going to remember that. And I'm glad that I did remember that, right? Opposed to they send you this epic dream and then it happens, but then you just completely forget it, right? So it doesn't get integrated, it doesn't get, you know, encoded into our current waking state of consciousness, you know? So again, that's where I feel that it's up to us to kind of meet the universe halfway, to understand that there are these very precious gems being delivered to us each and every night, and we have to like hold our hands and be ready to receive them. And if we got our hands in our pocket, like our metaphysical hands in our pocket, the universe is like pouring these gems and they're just like falling on the floor, and we're just like, oh, what? Oh, I was supposed to catch those? Oh, I didn't realize I hadn't tuned into Paradigm Shift Dream class. I didn't realize I was supposed to catch these, right? And again, the other idea is that like these dreams, they're not just for us. Like that's the big thing, right? Like sometimes you can have a dream and it might be something that might change the way you see things, and it might change the way you show up in a relationship. It might make you appreciate something a little bit more. It might make you reach out to a friend that you might haven't contacted in a while. It might give you a story that's going to set a powerful example for someone else to hear. So yeah, again, just some of those ideas are why I feel that, you know, studying dreams is like a very, very important part of our evolution as multidimensional beings. And we are doing the universe like, it's kind of like we're like turning our we're turning our attention away from something very sacred. And it's again something that is like, it involves our free will, because we have the free will to just be like, I don't care, I'm just gonna, you know, I'm not gonna bother. And that's what makes it like relative, is the fact that like to go deeper into the dreams, it requires willpower and consistency. Because this is another idea that I'll just say real quick. When it comes to the evolution of human consciousness, one of the ideas is that like consciousness will automatically evolve within various kingdoms, such as the mineral, the animal kingdom, and you know, and then it gets and the plant kingdom. There isn't necessarily quite the same degree of free will in those kingdoms. So that means that if consciousness spends enough time as a bug, eventually it will evolve into the next thing, and it will evolve into the next thing. It will evolve into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. However, once you get up to the degree of human consciousness, there's a bit of a buffer. There's a bit of like a gate that has to be like manually opened, a key that has to be manually crafted. And that key is consistency. And that key is crafted with our willpower. Because the big thing is that if that wasn't the case, if we just automatically evolved our consciousness, then it would kind of defeat the purpose, and everyone would be like given a golden ticket. And it's like, what the heck's the point of trying? What the heck's the point of experiencing it if everybody's just going to get there anyways, or everyone's just going to automatically evolve into that next level of consciousness or whatever. So it's like making sure that consciousness doesn't just like evolve by default, but actually evolves based on will and evolves based on choice. So again, like that's the part where by us doing this broadcast, let the fact that there are others out there who are showing up to make this choice, who are paying attention to the dreams, who are helping record it, who are publishing videos and shift entries through paradigmshiftcentral.com and your own platforms and talking about it with their friends, let that be a powerful inspirational motivation to be able to be like, sweet, okay, we got some collective momentum here, I'm gonna do my part too. Like, I'm doing my part too. It's like Starship Troopers or something like that. Anybody knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's basically, again, like, let's collectively as a community get into the habit of showing up with intention, to practice our dream recall, to practice engaging with our dreams, to work towards lucid dreams. Because again, this is something I want to get into later, and I actually want to play Lacey's video and talk about this a little bit more. There are aspects of the universe that I am very curious to investigate And I feel that the investigation is something that I don't want to say only, but that primarily can take place within the dream space, meaning that there are like certain questions that I simply wouldn't be able to get the answer just by like going to a bookstore or talking to someone. Like I need to get these answers by like becoming lucid in a dream, connecting with a guide, and asking them and be like, can you show me ... type thing. So again, I see this as like, we are explorers, we are investigators, we are creators, like bringing back the inspiration from us. So there's really just so much potential when it comes to dreams. And again, it's just like, it's literally like realizing that we are in our own Hollywood movie right now. Like the truth is very, very fantastical, probably a lot different from what a lot of people think it is. And dreams are a very powerful portal to be able to start opening up to that and also investigating it as well. So let's investigate it as a team. If that resonates with you guys in the YouTube chat, please feel free to just drop some 1111s as well. So Ariana, I'll pass it back to you. I feel like again, and if anybody else wants to jump in, please just unmute your microphones and you guys are more than welcome to join. But Ariana, go ahead. I can tell this is like, if I don't know, I'm just assuming you probably have a bunch of stuff to say.
Oh, I always do, but now I was just
right.
I was just sending Reiki, man.
Is that what that was? Okay, cool.
Great, yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, sweet. Does what I say, does that resonate with you in a general sense though?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why I'm so excited. This is great fun. I love it.
Cool. Right. That's absolutely. And I think that's an important thing too, is kind of like seeing the fun in that, where it's like, that was a big thing with me for dreams too. When I started kind of, when I went to that first presentation and someone's just like, it's like, oh, like you are more than your physical body. And there's like other dimensional realms that you can explore every night in your sleep. I was just like, wait, there's more? Like there's more than just these hallways of my school? Because up until now, that's all I thought there was. And then suddenly someone shows up and it's not just them telling you, but it's them saying, hey, I've had my own experience. You can have your own experience too. So again, even with anything that we're saying, for a lot of people, this might just be like that initial spark that might just be like, oh my God, like I want to be able to experience this too. Well, you can. And we'll start getting more into the practical tips in terms of being able to help develop our dream practices as well. We always try to provide those during the broadcast, because again, we always want to keep in mind that there are going to be people from a variety of spectrums, new people who, are very experienced in this. But either way, there are some basic elements that are practical tips for being able to develop your dream practice. I'm just going to list a couple right here. So dream journal, very, very important. Being able to schedule your sleep so that you're getting good sleep. Make sure that you kind of get into that REM state. Make sure that you can get into that relaxed gamma state. Meditation during the day to be able to help you relax as you're sleeping. Paying attention to diet, avoiding like heavy greasy foods, being able to clear your vessel. Again, kind of thinking that like your body is like an antenna, and so by clearing your antenna, you're going to be able to receive that signal with more clarity. Paying attention to your relationship with things such as cannabis. Cannabis definitely has an ability to impede your dream recall, so pay attention to that. If you're just like, you're like, dude, like I never remember my dreams. That was me hitting that was the sound of a bong. That's what I guess, right? It's a weird noise to make with my mouth. But anyways, pay attention, because maybe nobody's told you that, and that's okay. That smoking cannabis does have a direct effect on your dream recall. Now, maybe that's not the same for everyone. That's been my experience at least, and I know it's an experience for everyone as well. Other things, reality checks, checking in, and those are, more advanced in terms of being able to help trigger lucidity within a dream. Being able to test, like jump when you're awake, see if you fly away, set the intention to fly, pull your finger, see if it stretches, look up at the ceiling, see if there's a roof or not, try reading things, flicking on light switches, go watch the movie Waking Life. Would actually be like required homework just to give you some additional inspiration. And I'm sure there's other tips. Oh yeah, cultivation of sexual energy, very, very important. The sexual energy is like a fuel that literally runs up the spine, and it connects like into like into our brain, and directly it correlates to like it's kind of like a spiritual fuel that helps kind of, it's kind of weird to explain, but there's people talk about the idea of like DMT being correlated to dreams and everything like that. And so the in males, the seminal fluid, which is like the physical form of the sexual energy, the creative life force, and within females, it's still there. That energy, through cultivating it, not only helps our vitality overall, but based on ancient texts, they will say that it is vital for being able to experience deeper states of consciousness, be it through meditation or be it through dreams. So like literally people say that if you want to have legit astral projection experiences where it's like you're intentionally meditating and projecting, it's not possible unless you've been cultivating your sexual energy. Like it's literally like a rocket fuel that you need in order to be able to blast off into that next state of experiencing consciousness. So Ariana, what any other practical tips just while we're on the topic real quick? And if anybody else has any practical tips as well, go ahead and we can
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
No, you covered so much. Like I definitely recommend immediately just starting with a dream journal. That's like the first step. And just immediately, as soon as you wake, just scribble as much as you can remember. And then you can like fall back asleep or whatever, and then sort of remember more. But just that first waking up, because if you actually get out of bed, do stuff, check your phone, you're going to start losing more and more of the dream. So just immediately write down, like, it doesn't have to make sense. Just write down pictures, colors, sensation, everything.
Yeah. And that's another big part. And again, just mentioning it here, just while we're on the topic, get into that habit of, you know, like, here's a great tip to be able to practice your dream. Okay, first you want to take your phone and then you want to set it to airplane mode, and then you want to throw it out the window. Just chuck it as far away as possible. That way, so you don't wake up in the morning and just like roll over and grab it. As like literally put it in the other room if you can. Like God forbid. Like I know it's a challenging thing to do, but straight up, when you're in that first state of awakening, you want to get in. Again, that's where the meditation comes in. You want to relax. You want to allow yourself to kind of remain in that hypnagogic state, that gamma state, and just start even, this is another practical thing, retrospective meditation. This is something that we can practice within our waking state. At the end of the day, a great thing that you can do as you're winding down, you're brushing your teeth, start thinking to yourself and just be like, oh, let's replay my entire like day. What happened? And be like, okay, like I was doing this, I took the bus, I was at work, you know, I was downtown, I ate breakfast, with as much detail as possible. So you're getting into that habit of retrospective like recall. And then when you're in the dream, that can be very useful, like for when you wake up and then you're kind of like, oh, like what happened? Like, I don't remember. But if you can remember the last thing that happened and then remember the thing before that, the thing before that, it kind of creates like a chain reaction, you know. And I'm sure we've experienced that before with recall, where it seems like our memory is very fractal, you know. So like remembering one thing can holographically trigger another thing, you know. It can kind of like open the recall up, and then suddenly you're just like, oh, I remember, like it's all coming back to me now. I'm sure we've all had that. So again, making sure that when you wake up in the morning, don't check your phone, have your dream journal next to you, start writing things down. And of course, like if it's easy for you, record a video log, record a audio log, that may be great. Focus on details such as what your feelings were, specific symbols, things that stood out to you, things that were different, characters, places. Try and find even colors, and eventually, as you develop your dream journal, you'll be able to identify like common things showing up in your dreams. Like I've heard people where they're just like, oh yeah, like every night, like basically I dream that I'm like in my like high school or something like that, you know. So it's like kind of like one of those things where it's like you're gonna find like your own interpretation of common themes showing up in your dreams. So again, you have to investigate, you have to pay attention, you have to be looking for those things, and eventually those can become triggers and help you achieve lucidity as well. So okay, just checking in. Ariana, was there anything else you wanted to add real quick? No, you're good? Okay, cool, sweet. So what I want to do, I want to be able to switch things over into sharing Lacey's video, and allow me to do a screen share here. So let me just make sure, how do I properly do this? That's the share button. There's that button, and then do that. Is this gonna work? Oh, it's no. Okay, I just have to like do a thing on OBS real quick. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, so everybody's still hearing my audio. Let me just do one little thing real quick, and then you guys will be able to see the video as well. And all right, good enough. Is that good enough? I think is that maybe. All right. Okay. All right. Good enough for now, and then I'll have to reset the camera in a second. All right, so you guys in the hangout, you guys can see Lacey here. And so again, this is a video by one of our leading members, Lacey, aka the Paper Druid. Find her on Instagram at Paper Druid. She does some really very inspirational collage art that is inspired by her dreams, and she's been recording dreams since she was like 16 years old. No, older than that, younger than that, longer than that. And yeah, so she's got dream journals going back like years and years and years. So much stories that she has, and this is actually her first video dream log that she made. And again, this is published at Paradigm Shift Central. You can find it under the entries. And yeah, this is a story that I'm fascinated with, and I'll let you listen to it. There's about like 8 minutes of this, so let's just listen to Lacey tell her story. And this is like a dream, like a lucid dream experience as well. And the thing that I'm fascinated by is that she actually like goes to the ice wall. She like sees the ice wall, but we'll talk a little bit more about that as we listen to Lacey's story as well. So again, be sure to check out more Lacey's stuff at the Paper Druid on Instagram to check her information in the show notes. So let's make sure that this is gonna work, and I'm gonna play this, and this is about 2 minutes into the video once she starts the story. So here we go.
Lately I've been trying to go to bed at a relatively decent time because we missed.
Whoops. Ariana and people like that, give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear the audio from that. No, you guys can't hear the audio from that? Oh, jeez. You guys always have to take care of... I don't even know how to get the audio to you guys. I don't even know if I need to be able to deal with this quite this second. Hold on. Is there a quick way for me to figure this out without having to... I know there is. How do I get back? How do I stop screen share? Okay. Stop. Oh, here we go. Okay, you guys. Okay, this is gonna work. Don't worry. Okay, Ariana, give me a thumbs up if you can hear this.
A way for me to get to know myself better.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Okay. So everybody here, I'm just gonna like pause this and reset this up. So go ahead, listen to Lacey's story here, and this is people on the broadcast. You guys can see this and hear this, and yeah. Again, thank you, Lacey. She'll be joining in future dream classes, so she's sending lots of love, and she's here in spirit. And hey, she made a video, so now she's in the broadcast, anyways. All right. So here's Lacey's story. Go ahead and
also the collective. So yeah, which I can get into more in other videos, because I do want to share my super cool dream from last night. So I drew a little picture to go with it. So last night, lately I've been trying to go to bed at a relatively decent time because I find it helps my REM, helps me recall better in the morning. So everybody has their own cycle of REM, like when they're in their deepest sleep and so on. So for me, I find between the hours of 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. are usually like where I really experience pretty profound or very visceral, also lucid experiences. So yeah, last night I found myself as I was the younger version of me, so maybe around the age of 11 or 12, and I was in this community, this facility with all sorts of other people my age, but also older people as well, and it was like this secret society, and that's all I knew. I was kind of like, I don't know if I was going to school there or what exactly, but I was there. And I just found out that I was getting promoted, that I was moving up, whatever that meant. So my boss, it's a little ant here, my boss sent me into the far side of this temple, this building. And I went into a small room with probably like 4x6 platform kind of looked like a bed, but it wasn't a bed. It was definitely made out of wood, but it was completely white. And so was the room around me. Now on the walls, the landscapes. I laid down on the platform and I shut my eyes, and when I opened them, I found myself transported to a very alien terrain. There was rocks, very rocky, desert-like, and all the rocks were kind of covered in this orangey, powdery mist. I walked through this terrain for a little bit, and then I came upon a woman. She was going somewhere. She was definitely on a mission. So I followed her, and we came to what happens to be her ship. I walk up, and that's when I'm lucid. There was no triggers. I don't know, maybe it was just the woman, which I can touch base with later. There's more information about this woman in the dream, but maybe it was her presence that made me lucid. I'm not entirely sure, but I was lucid, and it's if you've never been lucid before, it's like waking up for the first time. Like, the colors are so much more vivid than this reality. It's really, really visceral and almost emotional. It's just beyond words. So I became lucid, and she's standing across from me, and there's this ship, which I'll pull up right now. This is the little sketch that I did of it. My best interpretation of what I saw and what I experienced, but there was this ship here, which she called the Flyer. Now, it was no bigger than a basketball, or a little bigger than a basketball. It's kind of like this. Yeah, like that big. And it hovered over the ground. It seemed to be moving, like liquid, like a liquid mirror. I could see my reflection in it, and it was hovering above the ground. Now, this wasn't happening yet. It was just by itself hovering. And yeah, she called it the Flyer, which I was like, huh, interesting. And when she told me that, I was like, how the heck are we gonna get in this thing? It's really small. So she said that we had to go. Like, we were on a mission. We were headed somewhere. So we both put our hands on it, each on both sides. And then it let out this type of energy. And when the energy, it was like a wave. And it came out of the top, and it spread out around the Flyer and created a force field that protected us. So kind of like this, like it was bigger than it looked like. I don't know if this was the engine and it was kind of see-through. That would make sense. So that's what it looked like. And then we were on both sides of it, and it completely encompassed us. And then we blast off through space. Like, it was overwhelming. It's hard to describe the sensations and the imagery, but it was very, very cool. And then we came to a planet. I don't know if it was Earth. I don't know if it was the present, the future, or the past, but it was very, very cool. We were in an ice tundra. It was like a flat plain, and then there was a huge ice wall that was on the far side of it. And below us, as we were flying over top, it was like we were moving through time really, really fast. And what was happening below us was moving at a slower rate, because everything was like slow motion. So there was a great battle happening with all sorts of different alien races, and it was just below us. We were quite high up in the air, and then we flew over to the top of the ice wall, where she landed the Flyer, and we got out. Now, excuse me, when we got up there, it was like an infinite plane. What very peculiar about it was that it was infinite, but it also was very much like an illusion. And I knew I was dreaming, but I was very present and just experiencing the dream as it was. Like, what kind of information was coming in? What was I learning? So So this is funny that this is the first dream that I'm sharing because it's pretty trippy. But yeah, and so I was just like baffled and amazed, and I asked her, what is this place? And the woman told me, I'm not looking at the camera, the woman told me that, she said, Lacey, time is not linear. And so I pondered that as I looked out over this vast, infinite wall of light and ice. And then I realized that I was kind of starting to wake up. And she had this device with her, kind of like a coordinates device. It was this little like a interface that kind of popped up. I don't know where it was coming from, but she's like, whoosh, and it like popped up, and it had like a type of map or coordinates, and I knew she was on this great mission. And so I was like, okay, I gotta think quick. I gotta ask her something before I wake up. Like, this is my chance. So I look at her and I go, what's your name? And she's like, my name's Valerie, and we've met before. And at that point I had woken up. So, but and then I shook her hand, like before I woke up, like I held her hand and we like locked eyes. And when we locked eyes, like I saw her face, and she was so real. She had piercing blue eyes. She had quite deep scars on her face and very weathered. She was an older woman. She had like blonde hair, and it was like up in a ponytail. And it was just unreal to me why this dream came to me. Super cool ship that I got to experience. So that was the dream. Not sure if there'll be more adventures with that particular character or what, but I think it's really, really cool. And I hope that you enjoyed my dream recall a little bit, my dream report. So yeah, if you like what I'm doing and you want to know more about dreams and more about what I do, you can find me on Instagram under the Paper Druid. Also, if you're more interested in just listening and like learning about dreams, you can check out Dream Council on Facebook. It's not run by me, but I'm part of the group, and there's a lot of cool dreamers on there sharing their experiences and also their wisdom. So check that out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know and I will definitely make more. Okay, thanks so much. Bye.
Awesome. All right. So there we go. You guys can hear me. Everyone can hear me again. We're back. We're coming through as soon as I be able to fix this thing. There we go. Perfect. All right. Welcome back, everyone. So thank you again to Lacey for sharing her dream. And again, I'd love to be able to explore some of the thoughts that other leading members have here in terms of what she experienced and what she shared. And again, you know, quick recap. having that lucid dream experience and really being able to be like in the presence of, again, kind of like this again, she talked about like being in like a place that she was like graduating from, and then she talked about like the flyer, this, and if you saw for those of you who didn't see the imagery, who are listening to this in the podcast like audio format only, basically it was like a version of a Merkaba. And again, like the Merkaba is like the star tetrahedron, the triangle facing down, triangle facing up. Imagine that in a 3-dimensional form. And I've talked to Lacey about this before. And I haven't had a chance to talk to her about this dream in detail quite just yet. But I mean, that in itself is super fascinating to be able to just kind of see the experiences coming forth through the dream and being able to connect the dots between how they relate to like other experiences, other ancient pieces of information. The idea of the Merkaba is actually something very ancient, and it basically refers to what the term literally it's translated to like light body vehicle. And it basically, from my understanding, if I were to explain it simply, is like we have our physical body, but then there's like an energetic field around our body, and that field is again kind of like a pyramid of like magnetic energy and another pyramid interfacing of electric energy, and they kind of spin in opposite directions. And when they spin really, really, really fast, you can like levitate and fly around and change shapes and go through dimensions and things like that. So within this version of the dream, within this waking state, it's not something that we see too commonly. It's not like you're like walking around and be like, hey Joe, off to work again? Yeah, see you later, Bob. And they float away on their Merkaba. Not yet, at least. Maybe they used to do that back in the day. Though there are depictions of like literally like people in the sky with this. And so there's this idea of like modern like UFO sightings that we see today. Some of them are physical craft, but some of them are also thought of as being Merkabas, like literal like light body vehicles. And so again, this is something that can actually be experienced within the dream space. So it's like the character that she was meeting, Valerie, within the dream space was actually kind of just like saying like, hey, come on, like get in the vehicle. This is like something common for us, while also kind of showing her that she could, you know, maybe like learn how to activate this or learn how to summon this within her own lucid dream experience. So it's interesting to think that within dreams, there's like certain like vehicles that you can summon, or certain like abilities that you can trigger, certain tools that you can use, which again is like super fascinating. And the idea with the Merkaba there that I found really interesting is the idea that the Merkaba, from my understanding, it changes sizes. Like it's all kind of relative. So people will actually hear about this idea of like a Merkaba kind of like being big. It's like, you know, the size of what you would think of as like a car. It's like a big UFO up in the sky. But then it can also get like really, really small, and it could like literally go down to the size of a single atom. It can kind of be like Ant-Man and go into like nanospace and like fit through holes in between like our atoms and things like that, and travel through, you know, that quantum realm, if we want to think of it that way. And yeah, and so like even with that, I'll just connect one more dot here. This is just a theory, but I'm just like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. What we see of as like orbs in pictures, that people recognize as orbs, one idea is that like maybe some of those are, you guess it, just pieces of dust. Stop. What did you think? What? It's just dust. No, there's like actually the idea that maybe those are like actually like beings in little Merkabas like floating around, and they're kind of like in like, you know, they're in our space but we don't always see them. So part of the idea is that like we're in like this busy space of energy beings kind of like flying around, and each one's kind of got their own Merkaba. And so again, just the idea that this showed up in the dream was super fascinating. And there was kind of like the caduceus, the spiraling helix up the middle of her image of it as well. And then the other idea that I found fascinating was the idea that she said Valerie, the dream character, like took her to what she talked about as being like the ice wall. And this is a very, very fascinating idea. Again, like as an investigator of this metaphysical realm, it's something that some people have heard of, some people probably haven't, but it's very interesting to kind of think about. There's basically just one model, and it's basically the idea, and this is actually a model that existed for the world like forever, until up to about 100 years ago, where they didn't really know, or at least they didn't think of the world as being like a sphere in space, and instead they think of it almost more like a petri dish, or like a, you know, like a flat disc on a turtle's back would be another way. But then on the edges of it, there was these ice walls. There was like these kind of containers keeping the water in and keeping the space in. And even not even just thinking of it as just an ice wall and then emptiness, but almost like an ice wall and then infinity. So you can almost like imagine it more kind of like something kind of like within, again, more like digital, more like in a video game. It's kind of like this like digital petri dish as well. So without having to dive into that theory, because I definitely like think that there's like stuff there that's worth looking at. It's interesting because that was something that like I had done a lot of thinking about, and I was just looking into it. I'm like, why is this showing up throughout history? What's like, how is this relevant today? Is there some sort of like element to it that we can like take valuable information from, or is it just crazy talk? I don't know, but I haven't been to space. What do I know? But anyways, what I'm interested in is the idea that this was something that Lacey intuitively saw within her dream. And then she was like, oh yeah, like I saw this like crazy ice wall. And I was like, you saw the ice wall? Like what? Like my mind was blown, because it wasn't something that I had like straight up like really told her about. And yet here it was an experience that showed up in her dreams, and then she was able to relay it to me and to us in this video. And for me, it really just brings up this question of kind of what I was talking about earlier of what can we investigate within the dream space? Like, what questions can we explore within the dream space? And so again, one of them that I'm just fascinated with is just kind of like, you know, like, okay, if I were in a dream, like, yeah, like take me to another nebula, take me to another galaxy, take me to another planet, or even just take me outside of orbit and show me Earth. Let me see things for myself. And so again, like even within that, obviously we have to take things with a degree of discernment, because obviously it's a dream. And so sometimes you could be like, guys, like I saw we're inside the Truman Show. I had a dream and we're inside the Truman Show. But again, it's like, let's take it with a grain of like cosmic salt. But it's still fascinating, especially the fact that it was a lucid dream. And what if there is this idea that, you know, again, the reality that we're in right now, it's constructed in such a way where there's like these certain illusions that are programmed into it that prevent us from seeing through it. So like, let's say like this reality was created by beings billions of years older than us or whatever. They would actually create a system that would actually prevent people from being able to see what it really is from within it. So the only way to be able to see what it really is to kind of like go outside of it, and the way how to get outside of it is within the dream space, as at least like one idea that I've kind of like had. So again, it just kind of opens up this idea of what can we explore within the dream space. Can we start like seeing more about how this reality actually works, and can we become lucid in the dream? Can we start asking important questions? Can we start talking to characters? So again, and even just like the other thing that came up in Lacey's dream, the idea of like literally this character just being like, yeah, like, you know, like time is not linear and everything like that. I mean, obviously for like 75% of the people tuning into this are just like, oh yeah, we know that. But again, imagine if you were just like just waking up and you're just like, time is not linear. Okay, like let me really sit with that. Oh my god, that's huge. Like that is huge. So there's a lot to be able to take from Lacey's dream, even just being able to listen to it and being able to, I love when people share dreams and you can kind of like put yourself inside the imagination of what they're experiencing, and you're just like, oh, like I can like see it. I can like, if she experienced it, then like I can see it just by listening to her story. So again, let's open up a little bit more discussion. I know Vanessa had to jump off, so thank you, Vanessa, for just being able to bring your love into the space. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to being able to connect with you in future broadcasts. And we did actually have Oliver recently join. So Oliver, just give a wave to the camera, and Oliver, we'll give a chance for you to just be able to any introduction and why dreams are important to you. I know you jumped in a little bit late, but that's okay. But just focusing on Lacey's dreams, thoughts, ideas, you know, what can we take from it? And again, even just seeing it as documentation for what is possible, you know. And I love that idea of how she said when she became lucid, this other person in front of them was like so real. They had a face to them, they had a personality to them. So again, it's just this like, it just really opens up an interesting idea that there are other embodied forms of intelligence that maybe exist outside of this physical dimension and are quite present within these other dimensions and are there to be able to help assist us. You know, like it's like in the same way you would like, you know, a being would choose to come into this incarnation to be able to help assist with a shift in consciousness, and they're here with their hands. Another being would be like, I'm still going to help with this bigger story, but I'm not going to tie myself to a physical body. I'm going to stay in the ethereal realms, and I'm going to be able to assist. I'm going to be like, you know, like a dream guide. I'm going to be able to help like assist people this way and tap into the matrix that way. So it sounds like if we're just looking at this and writing it as some sort of like crazy psychedelic sci-fi novel, that Valerie as an actual like person is like a person that exists. Maybe there's a part of her that exists in another physical parallel reality or something. I don't know how it works, but it seems as if like she is actually like someone who is totally like alive and awake and aware and is interfacing with Lacey's dreams. And Lacey mentioned that this is actually a character that's like shown up before in her dreams. So shout out to all of the other beings and intelligent entities out there that are like yeah, exactly, that are like helping support us on this quest and interfacing with us within our dreams. So again, there's a whole nother door there that it really opens up, and we're just like, can we use our dreams to be able to connect with like more of our cosmic metaphysical family or something like that, so anyways, opening up a little bit of discussion, because Lord knows I'll just keep talking about that ice wall all night long. But Ariana, anybody else, if you guys have something to share, please feel free. Ariana, do you want to jump in first if you're feeling like you're ripe and ready?
I feel like I'm hogging the mic. I want to hear what everybody else has to say. Thank you, though.
Okay, so okay, everybody else, get ready to say something after Ariana is done talking. No, honestly, no pressure though. Ariana, go ahead. Any general thoughts?
Oh yeah, just the Merkaba, the imagery, like this is stuff I've been studying, so everything was just popping out at me. And I've had experiences sleeping and waking through meditation visions where I was sort of in a vehicle like that going through space. So I was just watching that like, yes. It's beautiful.
And yeah, and like have did it remind you of any of your own lucid dreams? Like, have you, I mean, I don't know if we talked too much about this, like, have you had much experience with lucid dreams in your own experience? And
yes,
any
definitely.
like vivid moments where you've like come face to face with the dream characters and things like that?
Oh yeah, that being that close and really seeing someone's face, like how real it feels it's a trip. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. Well, in addition to just being able to talk about Lacey's dream, we can also say hi to her because she's tuned in and she's in the live chat now. So hi, Lacey. Sweet. Thanks for sharing. And if Lacey has any more comments she wants to expand upon, please feel free to leave those in the YouTube comments as well. Like I said, there's still a couple other stories that I want to be able to share, but just chatting a little bit more here. If anybody else, Erica, Dan, or Oliver, if you guys have any thoughts on Lacey's dream story, please feel free to unmute your microphones and just jump in on this if you would like. And Erica, go ahead.
I love the Merkaba idea, like just the ability to travel to other dimensions. That's like what happened last night. Like I was just traveling through this portal at like light speed, and there were like stars passing by. It was like dark all around me, and there was like purple energy, and it was just I don't know how to describe it. It was just incredible.
Wow, that's fascinating. So did you know that you were in a Merkaba, or it's just like something that like kind of fit the description maybe in retrospect?
From hearing our discussion, maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
Very, very cool. Yeah, it seems to be definitely like a common thing that occurs. So yeah, if anybody's like, again, it's weird. It's weird to think that there's like consistent dynamics within the dream space. So it's like, oh, like if you want to travel through hyperspace,
yeah,
you have to get in your Merkaba first. Like, you gotta like literally get inside of it. So yeah, that's super, super fascinating. So yeah, so again, like even just with the topic of the Merkaba thing, that opens up a whole bunch of shifty doors where it's like, what if, we really kind of like go into the dreams with that intention and imagine like it just as a story. If you're just like, okay, you're dreaming and it's like, and boom, you're lucid. What are you going to do? Oh, I know how to activate my Merkaba. Or maybe, it's just like, maybe there's kind of like a narrative where it's like, oh, it's like in my pocket and you pull it out and it's like a little vehicle and then you like open it up and then you step into it. But again, like the Merkaba is like from instructional teachings, it's something that you can like actually start working on right now. It's something that you can like activate right now. And there's like breath work techniques that you can do. And again, even just that idea of going into a dream and like meditating and like practicing levitating within a dream, and again how that would relate to the Merkaba. Again, it's something I'm fascinated by. So shout out to Lacey for being able to have those experiences. And if anybody else has had experiences, please in the YouTube chat, if anybody has had experiences with like something related to Merkabas, please let us know and we'll read your comments on air. Again, because like this is a way for us to be able to document, there are other people that have had UFO type experiences within dreams, and I'm sure if we start looking at them, we'll just be like, oh my goodness, this Merkaba thing keeps popping up over and over and over again, something like that. So I'm just reading 1111 Balance's comment on the YouTube channel, and then again, if Dan, Oliver, if any, and Erica and Ariana, if anybody else just wants to jump in on this, please feel free. They say, I have been hearing about that so much from so many resources lately about Merkabas as our natural vehicles. So much lately, such a synchronicity. I believe it for sure. Very, very cool. Awesome, sweet. So yeah, again, like the Merkaba, for those of you who are still just trying to wrap it up in their mind, for those of you who haven't like fully like become familiar with it, type it in on YouTube or Google, Merkaba, Merkaba, and again, like if you think of like the Jewish Star of David, like that is basically like a 2D version of the Merkaba. So again, it's a very sacred symbol, and it's like one of those symbols that like fits inside of itself infinitely, so it's very much like a physical representation. So Ariana is actually holding up a 3D crystal of Merkaba and stuff like that. So before we go any further, Ariana, any other thoughts on the Merkaba, just in the context of what we're talking about, and you know, maybe like again, just how we can tie this back into dreams and stuff like that? Or I mean, have you had Merkaba experiences within dreams?
Yes, but I've also had experiences in dreams with just the act of flying when I become, lucid, and I get this memory, and it's become so real, and I've gotten so good at activating it in dreams that I like get to that point. I'm like, oh, I remember how to do this. I remember how to start. Oh, this feels so good. And then I wake up and I'm like, I try to do it. And I'm like, no, 'cause it feels so real in that state. And yeah, the Merkaba is something that I've been studying for years. So seen it a lot.
Very cool. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like once you start looking into it, you start seeing it all over the place. So absolutely. Cool. Sweet. Okay, for a paradigm shift, like the history and significance of the Merkaba and how to activate your own or something like that. That'd be really cool. So if anybody wants a message afterwards and it's like, yeah, let's work on it together, right? It doesn't have to be one person. Sweet. Okay, so if Erica,
Oliver had something to say.
Oliver has something to say. Thank you, Dan. Okay, Oliver, passing it over to you. Go ahead, Oliver, and welcome to Dream Class, brother. Good to see you again.
Hello, everybody. I'm from Quebec, so my English is not so well, but I will do my best. I didn't have experience with Merkaba in Dream, but last year we did with some friends some meditation, and one of the guy in the meditation was I don't know how to say it in English, but it's canalisé. Like there's an entity was talking through this person and channeling exactly, and the entity in channeling, they learn us in a group meditation how to make it work a little bit with our Merkaba, and like we were just everybody concentrate in meditation, and this entity try to like unlock our Merkaba in that meditation, and that was so powerful at that point. Like we saw after the meditation, everybody like share and give feedback about what happened, and it feels so real about like it's turned around one side, turn the other one at the other side, and it's make a really big circle of energy inside and outside us, and that was really so nice. So when I arrived late, and I just like being able to listen the last part of the dream of Lucy, but when she talked about this little vehicle, it's sometimes it's something I know about, and I'm sure want to experiment in dream. And when Ariana talk about flying in dream and be able to just control your dream, and like in your dream just say, oh, I want to fly, and fly. It's something, it's been like 5 years I want to do it, and I don't know where to start to learn about to control my dream, but it's something really important for me. So like when you talk about what is important for you in your dream, that is one thing, being able to control your dream, and after that be able to learn as much as you can about all the information your dream can give to you to help you in your life every day. because in every dream it's another state of your, and for me it's like your consciousness talk to you in your dream, and you have to listen it, because everything you have experiment in your dream have some on a point something important to learn, to make learn to you in your life. So c'est pas mal ça.
Yes. Awesome.
Je vous aime tout le monde. It's say I love you everybody in French.
Love you too, man. Very, very well said. Absolutely, man. And again, like, I think it's just fascinating that, you know, when we're talking about Merkabas, it's one of those things that it's not just an idea, it's not just a theory, it's actually something that we can experience. And it's something that doesn't have to just happen within the dream space. Like, we can start working on a Merkaba here. And again, like, that's something where, you know, I'm sure there'd be people, it's like, hey, if you were to do this like meditation every day, like, it will actually help activate like your field, and then that will actually help activate it within your dream space. So again, you know, you start getting into the idea that the physical reality of what we do here affects the dream space, and the dream space affects the physical reality. But again, like with the Merkaba, I just find it so fascinating and hilarious that like we as humans, we're just like oh my god, like you know, like Mulder, like I or like Scully rather, it's just like UFOs, Scully, like I want we have to see those UFOs, like they're out there, man, and I believe. And then like Scully like comes up to Mulder, and they're just like, damn it, Mulder, don't you realize it already? You are a UFO. And then he's just like that's basically the truth of how we're living right now. It's just like we are UFOs or something like that. It's like a natural part of again, we're already these like advanced spiritual spaceships or something like that, something of that nature. So yeah, again, like I'd love to be able to get into the Merkaba discussion more so as a community, and definitely have it as something that we can just kind of work on, or just like even in your mind, daydream about just kind of like flying around and activating this little like spaceship, and you know, just like imagine yourself just kind of like projecting your consciousness in your area. So flex your imagination, you know, like that's the thing. Like when it comes to dreams, being able to practice flexing your imagination right here and now is a great tip. And a lot of people kind of forget to do that. They're just reading, they're just like doing, like, you know, they're just like watching stuff and everything like that, and they're just getting fed stuff. But how much do you actually take the time to just kind of like imagine some sort of like super fantastical scenario in your dream, or just in your imagination? I mean, like that, you know? So it's like before you go to bed at night, imagine that you're like sitting on the top of a mountain, and you're just like, okay, like I am activating my Merkaba, and make it as like weird and fantastical as you want, and just to practice imagining that. And then again, you can start kind of like bringing in this mindset into your dream space as well. So yeah, awesome. And again, for anybody, for those of you in the YouTube chat, if you guys have had experiences with flying, with Merkabas and dreams, please feel free to just leave some comments there, and we will get to those as well. So again, I want to be able to get into a few more stories, and then we're going to get close to wrapping up the broadcast, because as much as I know who, like you listening to this, you the viewer, our friend, I know you want this broadcast to be 5 hours long, but I'm sorry, we just can't. We have to wake up early. We have to go to sleep. That's the intention here. So we'll wrap this up within the next 40 minutes. So again, I want to be able to invite more people to share any other dream experiences that they would like to be able to share. And yeah, if there's going to be more dream classes next month. So again, for everybody listening to this, if you're just like, yo, this is super fun, like I want to be on air, I want to be, you know, able to share my stories, be sure to check out our Patreon, and be sure to check out more about becoming a leading member, and that is what will give you access to being able to join on air for these broadcasts, so you can introduce yourself, share your stories, practice having these discussions, and lots more. So again, let's just check in, and if nobody else has any stories here right now, we're going to share some stories that were posted to Instagram a little bit earlier, including I know Caesar wanted us to be able to share their story. Dan, did you want to share something? Sweet. All right, Dan's got a bit of a story for I believe, I assume so. So yeah. All right, Dan, passing it over to you, man.
All right. So this is, I guess, my main dream, like the one that I guess impacted my view of things the most. So I guess real quick, I need some backstory. Uh, so growing up, I lived next to, well, my neighbor, because that's what neighbors are. But there's an older gentleman named Jack, and he was a really, really nice guy. And basically, grew up, knew him my whole life, and every day took his mail up to him, got a quarter every time, and so like basically had this relationship with Jack this in like all my life, up until college. Um, and he had a dog named Russell, which was a Jack Russell. It sounds fake, like it's a cartoon or something, but yes. Uh, but yeah, so basically, knew him all my life. Older, about by the time I was in college, he was about 85, I believe. But he got sick while I was in college, and so I think it was sometime in January, I believe. So he was sick for a while. I didn't really know the status of like how he was doing, and about 3 or 4 weeks after I got back to school, essentially, it was on a Saturday night. Went to bed, had a dream, and I was sitting in his kitchen with him, just like conversing with him, and his little dog was there, and he started to slip through the floor, like he was like sliding down through the floor, and I grabbed his hand. I was trying to hold on, and I knew that I couldn't, and I had to let him go. And I woke up, and I got a text from my brother that Jack had passed away overnight, and I just kind of texted him back. I was like, I know. Like, I knew that he had passed away. And to me, it was such an impactful moment because, like, it said to me that there was so much more to the phenomenon of dreaming and, like, how we interact with each other, and like, our connection. And that was before, like, diving into all sorts of, like, weird esoteric stuff. But, like, yeah, it left a big impact on me, and I guess it's the one thing I can actually call a premonition of sorts. But yeah, it was an experience.
That's fascinating. Wow, dude, that's a very again, like first of all, our condolences to Jack, the Jack Russell, and the owner as well. And this was several years ago, you said, right?
Yeah, this would have been either 2013 or 14, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, like something like that, as fantastical as that is like relatively common, when I've heard other people have these stories where they'll have a dream and they'll just be like, like, oh, like I dreamt of like a person, and then the next morning it's like that person passed away. Like I've heard people literally talk about that. So for you to kind of like share this dream with the dog, again, is fascinating. And I feel, with the intention of this broadcast being to like look at this as like data and investigate, like that in itself is literally evidence of, again, like this non-temporal element of dreams, where there's like an element of the future that's kind of rippling into our dream space, and we're being able to receive information and data that's theoretically beyond like our present knowledge, yet it's still coming into our field, and we're still being able to like experience and learn. And just like, I can imagine, and passing back to you, I can imagine like just that, because you kind of already said that, but just that in itself like would have definitely shifted your paradigms a bit, where you're just like, wait a second, like how is this possible? Is time linear? What's up with dreams? Like, do you remember kind of like what your thoughts were, and kind of like even just how that experience actually served as a bit of a catalyst for you, I assume?
It was interesting because it was just like a sense of knowing. Like I knew what exactly it meant, even though it was kind of an abstracted version of him passing away. It was, yeah, I don't know exactly what to call it. Because it to me, it was just clear. Like I knew exactly like what it meant. I like it really helped me deal with his passing because, like, you know, I'd known him for so long. It would have been pretty hard, but it was almost like I got to see him one last time, even though I was like 4.5 hours away. So like, yeah, it definitely, it said to me there's something else that's more significant than just the standard interpretation of your brain just kind of coming up with garbage, or entertainment overnight, or defragging, or something like that. But yeah, it just felt important.
Yeah, definitely meaningful to it. And did you tell the owner? Did you mention the owner of it about that dream?
Oh, I'm sorry if it wasn't clear. The dog was Russell. The owner was Jack. Jack died.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
I thought the dog died.
No, sorry.
Okay, no, I apologize. I probably wasn't listening properly then. Okay.
I may not have been super clear. Yeah, it was Jack, the human being.
Okay.
But yeah. So.
Okay, so you didn't. So did you talk to the dog the next day and talk? I'm just joking.
I did.
Right.
I told, like, when I got that text, I sent it to my brother. I was just like, I know, I dreamt about it. Which I wish I knew. I changed phones, so I don't think I have this text anymore. But I wish I knew the time that he would have passed roughly, and like where like my REM cycle was or something, just to see like,
yeah,
I don't know. But
right. Okay, so that's okay. Now that I know it was a person and not just a dog. I mean, dogs are people too. Don't get me wrong. but yeah, that just like it adds like another layer of significance to this. And again, just kind of what I was going to, where people have had those dreams where they dream of someone and the next morning they're just like, oh yeah, that person passed away and everything like that. And you said Jack like kind of like fell through the floor, kind of thing. Is that? Do you remember if there was a pattern on the floor?
Everything looked very normal to me, which is kind of weird because usually my dreams are more surreal.
Yeah,
it was just like plain. It was his kitchen, vinyl flooring.
Was it checkerboard or anything though? Was it anything like that?
I can't totally recall it. I mean, it wasn't like your standard black and white checkerboard or anything like that.
Yeah,
like he had a kind of like an ugly 70s floor, like, you know.
Okay, I can see it. Yeah,
vinyl checkers and
with some sort of pattern, probably.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah, just kind of diving deeper for any additional symbolism there. But yeah, man, how did that make you feel? Kind of like following that, not even just like that day, but just kind of like, again, just how that impacted your personal journey and just kind of like your own curiosity.
It was simultaneously confusing and comforting, where it was kind of like, what the fuck? But like, also there was just that like, that peacefulness of like, you know, just like literally and metaphorically like letting him go, and how that impacted everything else is I don't know, because I guess at that point in time I was questioning a lot of things in reality, and like it sort of just led me in the direction. I think it was around that time I took like some classes with alternative religions and cults and myths, legends, and folklore by the legendary Mark Mirabello, who was actually on Ancient Aliens one time, but that's irrelevant. But yeah, it was during that time where I was like questioning a lot of the supposed paradigms of like how I perceive things. And I had always like thought there was some significance to dreams and whatnot, but like that was like, I guess I don't want to say nail in the coffin because that just feels wrong, but
Definitely sparked something though.
Yeah. Less grim of a metaphor. Like, yeah, it's a spark that ignited.
Yeah, nail the coffins when something ends. I think this was like the opposite of the nail in the coffin. This very beautiful story, and again, I'm sure something that probably more people than not have had some sort of experience. Like I know, even I've had like, yeah, I remember like I'm pretty sure I remember like even like my parents talking about having some sort of similar dream or just something. Again, people who like, who may not be totally like into the whole metaphysical like exploration of things, even for them, they'll have like those dreams where they're like, oh, like my like grandmother sat at the edge of my bed and I had a discussion with her, and then the next morning I woke up and learned that she passed. Like, I've heard that over and over and over again. So again, it's very, very interesting because it just kind of opens up this idea of, like this theme where when people pass on, their consciousness can still interact with us. And that in itself for some people can be like a huge motivation. Like, I feel there's like probably some weird plot for a movie there about like some person who like loses someone they love, and then they find out about lucid dreaming, and then they're just like, oh my god, like what I would do to like see that loved one more time. Okay, I'm gonna dedicate myself to practicing my dream, and then like diving deep into it. But at the same time, it's interesting because it's like dreams don't always give us what we want. They give us what we need. And so like that's kind of the thing with dreams, is that like as much as we can be in control, we're not in full control. It's not like we can literally just be like I'm the boss, this is what's happening, like, like spawn me that thing so I can talk to that person. It can become very much the dream kind of acknowledging where we're at and what we can be, what can be like, again, the best thing for us in that moment to be able to serve our soul. So like that's where, again, like with dream practice, a big part of it is patience. A big part of it is just kind of like you go to bed each night and you're just like, I don't know what's going to happen tonight. Maybe it's going to be the best, most fantastical psychedelic dream ever, or maybe it's just going to be mundane. I don't know, but we kind of have to show up with that intention, with that like holding it as something sacred. And the more that we exemplify this, those like, again, those hyperdimensional billion-year-old aliens or beings who are controlling this thing are like paying attention to that. Again, this is just a theory, please don't take what I'm saying literally, but if you want to, that's okay too, think for yourself. But it's a metaphor, I swear to God. But anyways, they're like paying attention and they're just like, oh good, like Billy's becoming more humble, more dedicated, and he's starting to get ready. Let's send him that next dream that's totally gonna like make all those years of practice worth it, right? Like imagine if someone were to say to you, hey, you can talk to God, like the God, whatever that means to you, but all you have to do is practice this, and do it for like 6 months straight. How many people would actually like be willing to do that? Well, the fact is that there's actually like some truth to that. So again, like that's where we're at this point in reality where people are lazy by conditioning and encouraging them to know that dreams can actually be like a door to something much more fantastical within this reality, can actually be like an initiator to just be able to encourage them to be like, sweet, like I'll do it. I'll wake up and meditate. I'll study my dreams. Like I want to be able to experience this. And it can take a lot of trust and a lot of faith, especially for people who haven't had that first lucid dream, to just be able to hear what other people are talking about, but then to be intrigued and to be inspired. So again, I really thank everybody just for sharing their stories and using this space to be able to help lead and inspire others to know that like, hey, if they can experience something fantastical, then I know that I can too. It's accessible to all of us. And again, I think a big part of it is letting the universe know that you are showing up as a student and that you are ready to receive. And again, like when we're not to say that if we're not paying attention to our dreams, that our dreams still aren't useful, that our dreams still aren't like beneficial. Like absolutely they can be, you know. And you look at the different ways in which dreams can serve us, you know. Again, dreams, I've said this before, dreams can show us the hero and the villain inside of us. And sometimes what can happen within dreams is that we can do something in dreams and we can be like, oh my god, that was super heroic of me, I've never seen that part of myself, that's inside of me. Whoa, like I'm actually going to start being more confident within my waking state, knowing that that's a part of me. At the same time, the dreams can also show us like the darker shadow parts of ourselves, and maybe it will be a dream where you like do something really mean to a friend or something like that. And then again, the dreams are kind of like giving us almost like these simulations so that we don't have to experience them within this physical reality, which obviously has more consequence because it's a linear story to it. But it's just like, hey, like, you know how you're kind of like, there's like energies inside of you that are unsettled and you're like holding animosity towards things, or maybe there's parts of yourself that you still need to learn lessons from. Instead of having to experience them within the physical, we're going to give you like an experience within the dream. You're going to see parts of yourself. You're going to wake up the next morning. Maybe it's going to shake you to your core, and you're going to make that choice the next day to be able to decide who you're going to be from that point forward. Are you going to choose to be the hero, or are you going to choose to be the villain? And obviously a part of it is understanding that like there's always going to be a bit of both. So it's never like you can just totally get rid of it. It's obviously a subjective term, but it's about how to relate to it, how to relate to like those parts of ourselves that we're probably not really super happy about, but the dreams can kind of show us this and then just give us more clarity on who we want to be. And that, I feel, is what's inspirational, is that we can choose who we will be. So the dream might show you something and it might be like, oh, here's you, you know, like beating up like a you know, like someone or something, right? And then you just wake up and you're just like, that's not me. Like that's not who I choose to be. And the dream will be like, good, you learned the lesson. Like, so let's like, you know, like start, you know, bringing more responsibility and bringing more clarity. Start, you know, not just asking who you are, but who you are not. So the dreams can kind of show us, and it will kind of put something in front of us, and it will give us the opportunity to be like, are you this? Is this who you are? And then you'll wake up the next morning and be like, no, like that is not what I choose to bring with me. That is maybe something from my past, and I let it go. So again, like by working on stuff in our physical reality, by talking to friends, by reflecting on things, by learning about the lessons, by doing the meditations, by giving compassion to ourselves, then we can clear the space within our own heart to be able to receive room for the dreams that are going to be able to like be even more expansive. So again, if we're just kind of like really just like, you know, like holding on to things and treating people like shit and treating ourselves like shit and stuff like that, then the dreams are going to be like, okay, let's like start at the base level. Like, let's just, you know, let's clean up some stuff. Like we got to clean some dirt. We got to clear this inner temple up. Let's get stuff out of the temple first. And then when you're in that place where you're showing up, again, it's much like psychedelics. Like if you go into a psychedelic trip and, you know, maybe earlier that day you had like a conversation and you got into an argument with a friend or a parent, or maybe there's something you're really worrying about that you haven't fully resolved, you go into that trip and that's going to be on the front of your mind because that's going to be something that is unresolved. So what's beneficial, what's preferable, is if you like do that inner work, clear up things, tie up loose ends, and then you go into the trip and then you open up into the space where you can receive like something really expansive and inspirational. And it's the same way with dreams. If we're doing the work and we go into the dream space and we kind of have like this empty cup, like this chalice, like this holy grail, and if it's not filled with like poop, then the universe can fill it with gold, sort of thing. So empty your cup of poop and and the universe will fill it with gold. That's quote me on that one, please. I hope that's a good metaphor. So awesome. Okay, Lacey, Paper Druid, is just she's in the YouTube chat, as I mentioned. She says last night she unlocked her avatar self. Yeah, I'm hoping she makes a video dream log of that. She was telling me a little bit about it, and again, fascinating story there. So definitely a lot more stories to be able to share, again, not just through this broadcast, but through the Paradigm Shift Central project in general. Be sure to keep an eye open for more dream logs, and again, for all the leading members here, really using our platform as a place to be able to just create that container so that when we know, it's just like, oh sweet, this is an awesome dream, I feel inspired to practice making a video of it or practice writing it out in detail, knowing that you can publish it, and again, knowing that other people will see it. So just being able to have that channel for the creativity to flow through can be super, super useful as well. So yeah, like I said, this broadcast is going to be 5 hours long, so go get some popcorn if you need it. God, this always happens. But anyways, we'll wrap up soon enough. I did just want to be able to create space for any more practical tips people want to be able to share. There's a few more dream stories that I wanted to be able to share from people on Instagram, and any other dream stories that people might also want to be able to share. So does anybody else have any other dream stories that they want to be able to share? Let me know now. It looks like probably not. That's okay. Any other practical tips that we want to be able to talk about? I know our Oliver was kind of talking about stuff, and we kind of talked about it earlier in the broadcast, so I don't want to just have to repeat things. But again, you know, like, I think for people who are still getting new to this, one of their incentives is like, I want to be able to control my dreams. That's great. It's great to know that that's a target, but that's definitely not like the first step. Your step is not to necessarily control your dreams. The first step is just to develop a more like intentional relationship with your dreams, and then out of that the control will come later on. So again, it's kind of one of those things where like the ego's like, oh my god, give me those lucid dreams because I want to, like, you know, like bang like celebrities while driving sports cars that can fly through space or something like that, with an alien playing like some sort of like alien guitar next to me, and we're like hitting some sort of like DMT psychedelic alien vape pen or something like that. Sounds like a good dream if you ask me. But if that's like what you want, the universe is going to be like, I hear you, but there's steps that come before that. Ariana, go ahead, opening up the microphone for you, and I'm glad you're having a good time, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to share one little practical tip that really helped me when I started, you know, learning how to lucid dream, is just setting an intention. You kind of touched on this, like imagining you're on a mountaintop before you go to sleep, or, you know, just pick a symbol like an owl, or, you know, the symbol of the Merkaba, and just focus on that before you fall asleep, and see if you notice it during the dream, and then journal about it in the morning and see if you can start to pay attention to those symbols a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, again, I think really being able to create the container and have the intention going into sleep is so important. Again, really just another practical tip: make your room your temple. You know, set and setting is very important. So step one to being able to activate your multidimensional awareness as a cosmic being by becoming conscious within your dreams is clean your fucking room. God damn it. Jesus, what is wrong with you? That shit, that pile of clothes in the floor, that thing is going to pick up itself? No. Let that be an inspiration for you. Clean up your clothes, clean up your room. Sorry for cussing for all like the 12-year-olds who might be listening to this. I apologize. And for the parents who have the 12-year-olds listening into this. But nonetheless, cleaning your room is actually a very practical way to be able to help create space. Even working with things like incense, oils, senses, that can be very powerful as well. I have a little sleep mask that's like a lavender sleep mask. It's kind of like meant to kind of like evoke smells. Smells can kind of drop you into a common vibration. If you have like a smell where it's like, oh, this oil helps me feel relaxed, and maybe it reminds me that now it's time to get ready for bed and to start practicing dreams and everything like that. So definitely, like, being able to create the container, very, 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 very important. And Ariana, I even saw, like, yeah, you've got, maybe just tell us, like, you work with like incense and sage and all sorts of witchy stuff, I assume.
Oh yeah. Got my Palo Santo. I had my lavender moon water before I came on, and I sleep with this big chunk of rose quartz next to me, which I just love. So yeah, I feel vibration from crystals, so I like to have them around me while I sleep.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's another thing people talk about, the idea of, like, you know, working with crystals within your dreams. Like, some people talk about like putting certain crystals underneath your pillows. Even with the light guardian crystals, like, one thing that I talk about is like having the light guardian crystal and you can like wear it on your finger. That's like something, let me just grab one, because I don't have one within arm's reach. 2 seconds. I apologize. That was clearly 5 seconds. This is a Light Guardian crystal. So these are available through the questitemshop.com, and this is a shameless plug because they're awesome and I want everyone to have one. And they're actually available for people signing up who are getting a shifter booster kit monthly, which is available through our Patreon. You actually get a free Light Guardian crystal when you sign up there. And so with the Light Guardian crystals, one thing that's really cool, and I've had people actually experience this, is that you can actually like hold it on your finger and then like keep it in your palm while you fall asleep, because like the keychain latches there and you hold it in your hand. And the idea here is that you can actually bring the crystal with you into the dream space. And so I told someone about this, like I literally told them, and they literally like did it the first night that they had it. So it works. It is possible. So again, like something as simple as like having an object with you while you sleep could be a way to be able to help like bring awareness into the dream space. So that's where you start getting into totems and trinkets, or you know, you can have like something in your pocket or a crystal, and maybe just like rubbing that crystal reminds you to do a reality check or something like that. Or again, just like having it in your hand and holding it, and even like paying attention to the pulse through your hand by holding the crystal. When you hold crystals, you can like feel the actual pulse of your body through your hand, and that can be something to focus on while falling asleep. So again, just showing off your Light Guardian crystal here, and yeah, go ahead and get one of those online and try it for yourself. But anyways, any other practical tips that we want to get into for people in the YouTube? Please feel free to leave some practical tips, learning together as well. So I'm just trying to think, but if anybody else wants to jump in with any practical tips before we go into final stories and then a closing meditation, please feel free to let me know. But yeah, dream journal is the obvious one. Cleaning up your room, creating the space, meditating during the day, meditating before going to bed. Getting off electronics like an hour before going to sleep is super helpful. Taking your phone and just like chucking it out the window. Sleeping outside, like if you can go camping, that can be super helpful as well. Getting in tune with the natural frequencies of the earth. Paying attention to food. Try not to eat a meal before going to sleep. The reason for that is that like literally this relates to the subtle energies of the body. So if you like ate a big meal before going to sleep, your body's actually going to be focusing more on digesting food. And if it's not digesting food, that subtle energy can actually be put more towards your dream awareness. Again, getting a good sleep in so that you can get into that deeper state, that REM state. If you're just sleeping for like 5 hours or 5 or 6 hours, you're probably not getting into the REM sleep. So you need at least like 8 hours to really get deep. Other things that you can try doing is like setting an alarm in the middle of the night, waking up, doing a bit of yoga, stretching, drink some water, meditate, and then go back to sleep with the intention to kind of bring awareness into the dream space. Doing visualizations during your waking state, flexing your imagination, flexing your visualizations as you fall asleep is also useful. Again, cultivating your sexual energy, doing like pranic breathing, practice drawing the energy up your spine, visualizing it coming into your brow and down and back like water as like a loop, a microcosmic orbit. What other stuff? Again, cannabis. Cannabis is, again, something that is going to affect dream recall. Which is interesting because sometimes cannabis can actually be like like using cannabis to not remember your dreams can actually like be a form of medicine when you think about it. Like for some, there are some people out there that are just like, dude, like I'm afraid to go to sleep because my dreams are like super traumatizing. And sometimes they're just like, I need to like, you know, smoke a little bit of cannabis so that I can like relax. And maybe I want to go to sleep without having to wake up feeling like, oh my God, that was so super visceral. So it's like, again, the relationship that you choose is important, but just be aware that if you're looking to get more into those dreams, absolutely, like cannabis is something that you have to be aware of. And another thing there, like shout out to the people who have had, you know, nightmares and dreams that may be distressing, but then continue to show up to dreams with intention, knowing that they're not always going to be like that. So that's like something where if you're feeling like a lot of your dreams are like, it's like, oh my God, like I don't want to go to sleep because I'm just going to have another nightmare, or I'm going to have like something. Usually those can be resolved by like doing like the inner work on the outside, like doing like there's something going on in your life that is really just like, again, showing up in your dreams that you need to pay attention to. So until you've dealt with that in your waking state, like maybe there's some sort of argument that hasn't been settled, maybe you're not sharing your voice, maybe you're not being heard, maybe there's like something within yourself that you're not loving fully. Again, doing that work can help kind of like resolve it, and then it won't show up in the dream space because you've actually like done the work, right? So again, like if a nightmare is showing up in the dream space, that usually just, that's not the universe saying like, oh, like, you know, like this is a punishment, but it's just kind of showing you there's still work here that needs your attention. Ariana, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. That just reminded me, I've had, you know, I used to deal with a lot of nightmares and night terrors as well, but I also have known a lot of people in this, like, you know, self-development, spiritual growth world who have these really scary dreams of the apocalypse, you know, and these dreams, typically what I've seen them mean is just that we're going through a big change in our life. So sometimes dreams really are just big symbols, and sometimes the symbols hurt. Like oftentimes if somebody is going off to college, they're leaving home, they'll have memories or they'll have dreams of their parents passing away, and it's scary. You know, you wake up and you're like but really it's just the symbolism of, you know, you're no longer a child, you're moving into adulthood. So having that sort of awareness that sometimes it's a symbol can ease some of the pain of those scary dreams.
That's a great point. Absolutely. And that's something really just kind of worth talking about just for a second. Really focusing on the symbols as an important thing to be able to understand within dreams. And a good way that you can kind of look at them is like start looking at the tarot deck. If you start looking at the tarot deck and you start looking at the symbols there, you'll actually notice that those are actually like common symbols, because they're not just symbols, they're actually archetypes, universal psychological archetypes within ourselves that will show up within the dream space. So an example would be a dream of a tower, perhaps like a tower crashing down. We've probably had dreams like this where you've like been in a tower and the tower's collapsed. I remember I had one, and you kind of wake up and you're just like, oh my God, like, what does that mean? And then you're like, wait a second, there's a tarot card that's all about the tower collapsing, and that's not always necessarily a negative thing. It usually means like new beginnings and like building the new tower with intention and kind of like purging out the old and things like that. So absolutely, like, pay attention to dreams as symbols, because the universe communicates to itself through the language of symbols. So that's where, again, it's up to us as students to actually be able to start like getting better at interpreting it and not always taking our dreams so literally. So it's just like something may happen in a dream, and if we were to just interpret it literally, we might actually be like missing why it showed up to us. And again, another important part within dreams and just paying attention to them is also pay attention to how they make you feel. Sometimes a lot of people, they're just like, I don't know what the symbolism was there, but I know how it made me feel. And just kind of like pay attention to that. That's good information to be able to document as well. So other practical tips, I think we've definitely talked about a few. Obviously you can start getting into things like dream herbs, certain herbs. Mugwort is obviously one that a lot of people know. Skullcap is one. Geez, I'm not an expert on that, but I know there's a lot there, and there's probably like stuff that you can find all over the place. Ariana, do you have any herbs that you would recommend, possibly, maybe?
Not any herbs, but I have used, I used to be an insomniac, so melatonin has helped me get back into a rhythm of sleep. I prefer the liquid form, and it sort of gets you back on track. And the kind that I've taken most recently actually had melatonin and L-tryptophan, things that's in Turkey that helps you sleep. So if you're having trouble with insomnia and you're wanting to get into your dreams, it can be difficult. So just taking care of yourself can help you get back to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a great tip in itself too. Just being able to do what we need to do to regulate the natural chemical balances within our brain. So for example, again, getting good sleep, getting exercise, getting sunlight, having meaningful social interaction, eating good food. Those are all like simple things, but again, like that is going to definitely just help you. Cause like those epic lucid dreams where we're like talking to, you know, like all sorts of crazy entities and, you know, like finding the edge of the ice wall and stuff like that and flying in our Merkabas, those are more likely to happen when we're showing up with like as much integrity and clarity and intention as possible. So again, that is not just you being like, hey, I'm trying to do this so I can like bang celebrities and fly cars. It is you showing up to be able to be like, hey, I'm showing up because I'm doing my part as a cosmic citizen. And I know that by me putting in this work, it is helping my consciousness expand, which is helping the collective consciousness expand. And because I want to be able to like hang out with my friends in the dream space at night and actually be able to like access that. And that's like, man, it's like imagine the most advanced virtual reality that you possibly could, and imagine that you had access to that every single night. And you do. And you just have to like learn how to turn on that game system. Erica was saying chamomile tea is a relaxing experience as well. So yeah, any tea that's going to help you relax, definitely useful. So again, even listening to music while going to sleep, all great things. And even journaling before going to sleep, brain dump. Again, kind of making sure, we talked about this before, retrospective meditation, thinking about your day, practicing just kind of like reflecting on things. Brain dumps are super important. So if there's like something where it's like, oh my God, like this is like something that's on my mind, write it out, type it out, brain dump it. Otherwise it might show up like in your dream. And again, that will be like taking the front stage instead of some other cool thing that you might prefer, so to speak. So let me just check the YouTube channel, make sure I haven't missed anything here in the YouTube chat. 1111 Balance reading their comment. There have been legit studies that recurring and traumatic dreams from PTSD or whatever that cause can be resolved through lucid dreaming. Absolutely. That's a fascinating investigative topic right there. Lil Wile's Complete Book of Lucid Dreaming is a great book with tons of great information of lucid dreaming. Lil Willin, that's check the name in the YouTube comments for those looking for that, but check for 1111's Balance in the comments. Dan, you're reading your comment here. You believe you were using Selene Capensis. Is that a root or a herb, I assume?
That was the African dream root that they were talking about.
Oh, okay, cool.
I used that some in college, and I still have some Kalea Zakata, I think it's...
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, the Zakata.
I've used that. The tea one tastes like soap, so it's terrible. But it has effects, but also I read a study recently that says it may not be good for your kidneys, so I don't know if I can super recommend that, but it's worth looking into to see if those are like recreatable studies or anything like that. But.
Absolutely. So again, I think some Google searches will definitely give people more information on that, just in terms of like, different herbs and things available. And you might have some at your like local like health store that might be available there as well. Erica was also just mentioning like related to listening to music while going to sleep, 432 hertz. Again, even like solfeggio harmonics, any of those frequencies, those can be very useful. Binaural beats. Another thing which can be very useful when going to sleep. Quick thing about the binaural beats, because I feel like a lot of people probably miss this when it comes to binaural beats. With the binaural beats, one thing that I've understood, there's specific ones that have been created by the Monroe Institute, which again like study astral projection as a phenomena, which is like super fascinating because again there's like a science to how you can approach this. But one of the things with the binaural beats, again, it's like alternating frequencies in your ears that create a third like harmonizing frequency within the center of your brain. That's kind of the science behind it. But within the audio file, if you're listening to it with good headphones, what you'll actually notice is that it will actually create like a 3D object of sound that goes around your head. So it'll be like this like orb that's like kind of like almost like a singing bowl, kind of like that. And what that's useful for is to actually be able to like focus on the orb as a point of focus as you kind of fall asleep. And with the intention that like as you're falling asleep, your body falls asleep, but your mind stays awake. That's like a huge thing that again we haven't gotten into yet, but like one practice that you can start incorporating is the idea of falling asleep while keeping your mind awake, having that intention. That's usually referred to as like wake-induced lucid dreaming, or you may just find it may just kind of like bring you into the dream in a more like actively aware state. It may not be fully lucid, but it may just kind of like change the way. That can also like open you up into not just sleep paralysis, but being able to like observe the moments where like your body's falling asleep, your mind's still awake, and you can actually like feel your astral body shifting and moving. That is often a very jarring experience for people who don't have context for it, but it's actually a very natural human phenomenon. So it's not actually like when we talk about astral projection or that feeling of sleep paralysis and people think it's like the soul leaving the body, not at all. It is actually a natural human phenomenon, and it has a relationship to DMT and gamma waves in the brain as well. And yeah, and it's basically you just kind of like exploring a multi-dimensional reality beyond the five senses. And yeah, so again, dreams in themselves are a gateway to self-transformation. And when we understand that they are there to serve us, that every night when we go to sleep, it's this opportunity to tap into more parts of ourselves, to experience these psychedelic realities, to ask Valerie what's beyond the ice wall or whatever it is. Seriously, like that's the thing where I'm fascinated with dreams and Lacey's dreams, where it's like the continued story of them. When dreams start like continuing, like what happens when there's a consistency where it's like you wake up from one dream and then it's like, oh my god, there's more to this, and then like later on, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, you like go back to it and you can actually show up with presence. And so again, like there's so much more to this, and if you are looking for more just kind of like discussion about dreams, you can always go back and check out past dream classes as well, just to be able to listen to that, because I know sometimes just being in the presence of this conversation for a lot of people can just be very powerful, because it's just starting to get your brain to start thinking in this mindset of just being like, oh, okay, like I'm more than my physical body. Dreams are a very interesting thing. You know, like there's a very real element to what we're talking about here in terms of a psychedelic hyperdimensional reality where aliens are like sending us dreams and stuff like that, or something like that actually. So anyways, all right, like I said, I wanted to be able to get into sharing a few more dreams from people who shared their dreams with us through Instagram. Earlier I put up a post. If you're not following me on Instagram, be sure to do so at Mystic Spider-Man, and you can find a post there, and I put up a post saying, what is your most memorable dream? So allow me to pull up some stuff there, and I'll be able to read a couple. Most of them aren't very long, but there was one in particular that was actually sent by Emra, aka Caesar, and I'm gonna read their dream here as well. So, and then from there we're gonna get into our closing meditation, and then we're just gonna keep on stalling, and we're gonna keep going for another hour. No, that is not true. I have to wake up and play hockey in the morning, so all right, thank God. If I didn't, I'd probably stay up all night. Anyways, thanks again everyone for joining in. Oh, and Paper Druid said Blue Lotus is also a dream herb too. And and Galamantine, Dan, how do you pronounce that?
I don't know if that's the correct spelling, but that's one that I've had friends mess with. Which
is that a herb, or is that like a
I'm actually not
a chemical protein?
That. I think it's derived from a plant. It's supposed to produce like really vivid lucid dreams, but some
interesting
kind of negative side effects on that as well. But I guess that's,
yeah,
you should always look into that stuff before you start.
Absolutely. Yeah, with any of this stuff, again, you're dealing with your brain, so you really want to be like mindful. Like you are your own science experiment, but read up, do your research, pay attention, don't do a lot of stuff, and you just kind of like feel it gently. Like like there's like some dream pills that I have that like my like friend made for me. Like he made these, and they're like kind of like an extract of like Syrian rue, and Syrian rue is like an MAOI. It's a like a monoamino like inhibitor, and it's actually like correlated to like when you take these, it actually allows like the natural DMT in your brain to like be like kind of like maintain its presence longer. And I've noticed when I've taken these dream pills, like sometimes I've had like crazy dreams, but I woke up in the morning and it like my head felt weird, like physically, like there was like a chemical thing that happened, and it just like, and I felt kind of spacey the next day. And that's why like I haven't done it in a while, but like when I'm feeling it, sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna do this, knowing what I'm getting into, and just kind of work with things. But again, the best way to approach it is like, again, natural herbs and natural things like practicing meditation and things like that. Becoming reliant on just being able to take like lucid dream pills and things like that won't serve you in the long run. Okay to experiment with, but again, shortcuts aren't going to get you to where you need to go. So let's read some stories here. So here's a story from Caesar, and to be honest, I haven't read the story yet, so this is going to be new for me too, but I think this is like a bit about conquering some fears. So I'm going to read this. This is by Caesar, aka MRA2173 on Instagram. That's MRA2173 on Instagram. And here is their dream. And thank you again, everybody, for joining in. Katie, good night. I see you leaving your comments in the YouTube chat. Sweet dreams, everyone. And yeah, like I said, we'll just go for a little bit longer, share some stories, and then we'll go into a closing meditation where we're going to activate our Merkabas and fly to the dream tree. So here's Caesar's story. My dream. I was in a big store, like a Stop and Shop or a Costco. I was online to purchase items that I had. The clerk calls as I step forward to her, and I start hearing the big switch going on the back of me, and the lights are getting turned on and off in different sections until it turns off right where I am with the clerk. Right now, everything is pitch black. You know that moment when you turn off lights and you still have that picture of the last thing you saw before the light goes out? Well, that's exactly how it felt in the dream, because I could still see the clerk. Little by little, it was fading away until it was all dark. I couldn't see anything anymore. I started hearing chains dragging on the floor. Then when I stopped hearing them, I felt being pulled down, and all of a sudden my body wasn't, I think this body was chained. I'm kind of like translating this as I go, because as far as I can tell, this was kind of like translated a little bit. The chains are bringing me down, but not completely. I start hearing the chains again dragging on the floor. Then it stopped. I got pulled down again. This time I was on one knee on the floor. I start hearing the chains on the floor again, and the third time, as soon as I stopped hearing the chains, I know it was going to pull me down again, and I was terrified. When that happened, the next thing I knew, I was in bed. I was laying down in my bed, face down and with chains, and I couldn't move. In reality, my bed is close to the window. I was facing the window, but the window had a big curtain. All of a sudden, there's a strong wind, and the wind blows the curtain away. It was just a big window. The whole wall was a window. So he's like kind of dreaming that he's in his room, even though he's not like actually awake. I was seeing out the window with a big forest and a lot of snow, and the snow was still coming down slowly, and I could see deer running through the forest, and it was really close. The deer was staring at me, and I could tell he was staring at me. When I was seeing that, I was really terrified again. I decided to wake myself up because I knew it was just a dream. And I tell myself, Caesar, wake up, it's only a dream. So I did, but it was really confusing. So again, the question that I originally prompted was, what is one of your most memorable dreams? So that was what Caesar had to share there. So thank you, Caesar. And again, like that's just, it's really interesting just to be able to know the different dreams that each and every single one of us can have, and the different ones that are going to stay with us. And yeah, sometimes we'll have dreams that will be like super happy and exciting, and they'll stay with us. And then sometimes we'll have dreams that will be like a little bit unsettling, and they'll stay with us as well. But nonetheless, when you have those dreams where it's like, oh my goodness, this is so visceral, this is so real, it really makes you question again, like what else is there to explore within the dream space. So thank you, Caesar, for sharing your dream there. All right, I'm just going to read through some of the other ones on Instagram, and then we'll get close to wrapping this up. And yeah, thank you again so much, everybody, for staying up late. But please do not stay up too late. Please go to bed if you're feeling like you need to go to bed soon. So awesome. Thank you, Caesar, for sharing your dream. Henry77 Rivera says on the Facebook post, my fourth lucid dream was extremely memorable because I had been partially able to control the previous dream, but this one I had full control and mobility while flying. Very cool. So some of these are very short. So again, that's Henry sharing his dream of flying there. And here's a comment by Finding Our Happiness. I was at a party, but I was standing towards the back a little, and a random guy and a friend was like, can you hold my two snakes for a while so he can party? I said yes. I had a black and a brown snake coiled on one arm. The guy never came back, so hours later, I start looking for him, and the snake started to get hungry. There was another part of the party where there was a staircase, but I opted out and hung out on a lazy river. I asked the man if he had any tips for me on my snake feeding situation, and one of the snakes tried to bite me. Always love that dream. So again, it's just like everyone's got like these very, very personal dreams, and definitely like with that one, the idea of like the snakes showing up, very potent symbolism there. Absolutely. And even with Caesar's dream, the idea of like the deer are very powerful spirit animals. They're kind of going from that juxtaposition of like the chains weighing you down to kind of opening up to like a snowy window with peaceful deer. Very interesting just to kind of like see what the dream is kind of like putting us through in that experience. And Erica's dream, which she mentioned earlier in the broadcast, her comment was, last night when I was resting, my body was asleep, but my consciousness was awake, and I was traveling through some kind of universal portal at light speed. Again, super, super fascinating. A couple other comments here. Cassandra Krishna says, sunsets with this unknown girl. That's literally all they wrote. So again, very interesting. Skull Air says, a world of zombies, guns the size of a town, a sky whale, a whale swimming in the sky, and the earth torn apart. So like again, like a disaster dream. And I'm sure we've all had like crazy apocalyptic dreams. Those have been some of my most memorable dreams, have been like apocalyptic dreams from when I was really younger. And basically I was convinced that using hairspray was going to cause the ozone to implode, and I was destroying the earth. Because I was a 7-year-old, and that's how my brain worked, right? I'm like, we're doomed. No, what am I doing? Stop using aerosol cans. Anyways, Ian the Lovebird 11 says, when Thoth gave me his staff, and then I woke up sitting up in a bed with golden crystals in each hand. Very cool. So those are all the comments that were shared on the Instagram. Thank you again, everyone who had the time to be able to leave their comments there. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I want to be able to just take the talking stick and go around the circle one last time before we close off. So any any general thoughts on maybe even some takeaways? You know, what did we learn during this broadcast? Please tell me we learned something. Or what inspiration can we take from it? So if anybody wants to share, we still got Oliver, Erica, Ariana, and Dan here. And if for anybody in the YouTube chat, please feel free to leave any comments. What did you take away? Any other practical tips? Any gratitude you want to express? And then we'll get into our closing meditation. Again, the meditation we're going to do is us going to the dream tree, which again is with the intention of like returning to this common space within our dream and like being there. And this has actually happened. Like people have gone to this place within our dreams. So we've been constructing this like 3D space within our imagination, and people are actually showing up there in our dreams. So that's what we're working towards. So we continue to do it each dream class. All right, anybody who wants to go first, and even just if you guys are just expressing gratitude, please feel free to do that. And again, for any of the leading members here, make sure you check the show notes the day after the broadcast to be able to connect to their profiles. So anybody, just give me a wave if you want to say something first. Any just like again, additional insight, inspirational message for people watching this. Ariana, go ahead.
I just wanted to, I'm just so happy. This has been wonderful. And I just wanted to share, I've actually haven't been on my dream journaling and really on that lately. And today, I didn't know what this was really going to be about. And today, I was like, I'm going to pull out my dream journal and put it a little closer and set that intention. And I made that today. And then here, all of this, I'm fired up. This is beautiful. So thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Very cool. I'm glad the syncs have aligned for that. And oh yeah, another thing that I completely forgot because I'm such a pro at this. We're doing this broadcast on the 8/8 Lionsgate. So let's use this as like bonus energy to be like, sweet. Okay, Lionsgate, we're big lions. Rawr! Let's like activate like our lion energy so that we can dream more and put more focus towards our dream practices. So again, just by creating this sacred space, this digital sacred space, this sacred temple that we've created through Paradigm Shift Central, having these conversations, again, we, us, you, myself, we are consciousness doing what we can to help wake itself up. So simply by having these conversations, it's bringing it into the collective consciousness. And simply by you listening to this, for those of you who may not have these type of conversations with people in your waking state, maybe this will start giving you inspiration to just be like, oh man, I was listening to this really cool, like ridiculous, super hilarious podcast the other day, and they were talking about all sorts of interesting things. Are you interested in dreams? Are you interested in lucid dreaming? So straight up, go talk to other people in your reality about dreams. Ask them about lucid dreaming, and like use mainstream references. Be like, well, have you seen the movie Inception? Have you seen the movie The Matrix? Have you seen the movie The Truman Show? Have you seen the movie Waking Life? Like, use reference points, and then everyone can kind of start, you know, like everyone dreams. Everyone is a multidimensional being. Everyone has access to this. Everyone has the ability to like dive deeper down this rabbit hole. So your job as a shifter, as a light guardian, sign up as a leading member, start publishing videos, go check out Lacey's channel, subscribe to hers, see what she's posting, get inspiration. Like, I want to start getting into creating dream journals as well. Like, I've made a bunch of dream videos, but I haven't done some recently, and me creating this is also about us creating accountability for ourselves. So again, dream class once a month. For everybody listening to this, I don't want to say homework, because it is homework, because again, we're kind of going back to that student metaphor, is to like, again, like do the work and then show up next class so that we can continue to share like awesome stories of things that have happened and everything like that. So I just want to read a couple comments here. Jenna was actually saying in the YouTube chat, thank you so much, Jenna, for joining in. Jenna is saying, I haven't had dreams in a very long time, but listening to your tips on how to gear up for dreaming, I realized that I haven't given myself the environment to dream. Jenna, super cool to be able to hear you say that, because again, I'm sure that's very relatable for a lot of people, where they're like, I don't know why I'm not dreaming. Every night I stay up watching Netflix and I eat food and I go to sleep and I look at my phone first thing in the morning when I wake up. But why am I not remembering my dreams? And then it's like, oh, right. Let's kind of reconfigure our habits, our routines, take things out that are kind of interfering, bring in more practices, and then you'll start like paying attention to your dreams. Yeah, those Netflix shows, they're cool. Like, it's nice to be able to like wind down at the end of a night, but believe me, there's like way more entertaining stories just waiting for you in your dream space, your own unique Hollywood movie directed by aliens, and you're the star. So, right? I think that's how it works. Again, is that what we're going with here? I don't know. All right. Basically, yes, aliens are up in the moon and they're controlling this hyperdimensional reality. That's how it works. And the moon's just a hologram. Anyways, stay tuned. We'll talk more about that later. So, please don't. It's all just... the truth is out there, man. Anyways, all right. Let's keep bouncing around some more. Thank you again, everyone. Leaving some gratitude. Paper Druid says, thank you so much for holding space, Brendon. You're the most adorable host I've ever seen. Love seeing everyone get so stoked about dreaming. Thank you, Lacey, for sharing as well. Jenna also saying, I'm going to take those suggestions and I'll let you know how it goes. So again, absolutely. For everybody listening to this, take this with you and come back. Let us know. Jump in the live chat. Again, jump in the team live chat. Go to paradigmshiftcentral.com, go to team live chat, jump in there and just be like, yo, like after the broadcast last night, I had a crazy dream, or maybe it happened next week or whatever, right? So cool. Awesome. Sweet. Everyone is linked up. Joel, thanks for joining in. 1111 balance. Great energy. Good luck. Great luck. Energy, Jenna. Yeah, and even just people hyping each other up within the chat, like, go Jenna, you got this. Very cool. All right, so anybody else, again, Erica, Dan, and Oliver, just giving you guys a chance to just, again, you know, like how is being part of this circle maybe, you know, giving you some additional insights, and just any gratitude you want to express for the circle, for the space, for the people tuning into this. Really just encouraging you guys to share any other thoughts before we get close to wrapping this up. Dan, Erica, or Oliver. Dan, go next. Yeah, go for it, dude.
One, I thought this was a lot of fun. Since dreams are always a pretty fascinating thing. And I, along with like the dream journaling and stuff like that too, I used to do it a lot and I don't do it as much right now. And I definitely like to change that. I don't know if I'll be able to get to bed earlier. That's the one thing I don't know if I can do, but yeah, like realigning some of my habits to make for, like, to be more conducive for dreaming and stuff definitely would be. But yeah,
for sure.
This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Sweet, man. Well, I'm happy to have you here, and please, like, with any dreams that you have happening, please, like, just like screenshot them and then just upload those pictures? Can that be a thing? Can we work on that?
Like, I used to pay for the cloud subscription for dreams, but
right. That's going to be an actual like technological thing in the future. People are going to be able to like have video recordings of their dreams. It's going to be tripped out, man. And then we'll be able to like edit them and stuff like that. Like it'll be like, you know, like an Instagram channel, but it'll be like people's dreams. And Lacey's going to be like the most popular one on there. So subscribe now. Anyways,
cool
but yeah.
and terrifying to think about. But yeah.
I know, right? Oh God, jeez. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, dude, like absolutely. And again, man, like I think a big part of the dream practice is, you know, really understand something. You know, the part of me that's just like, but it's so easy to fall asleep with my phone on my chest watching Netflix in the background after I smoke a bowl. Like, that's what I'm comfortable with. So whatever the harder choice is, do that. And if the harder choice is, again, like putting your phone away, putting on meditation, reading a book, journaling, and relaxing, get to the point where you actually fall in love with that. Fall in love with your dreams. Treat your dreams as a beloved. Like imagine your dreams are just like, hey babe, like can you just like write in your journal before you go to bed and just like put on some Palo Santo and just like listen to this like really cool meditation track and just like dim the light so it's nice and ambient and gets on some comfortable clothes and drink some water and then I'll like give you a super awesome dream in the morning, give you some like beautiful like dream waffles, I'll cook them up for you, babe. So again, just treat your dreams like a beloved and know that literally that part of yourself is asking you. It is literally asking you. It is like, please, like my child, like do this, not just for me, but for us, because you are a powerful conduit and there is a message that is meant to come through you. And I need you to be ready to be able to receive it. And so we have to step up to that. We have to hear the call and we have to be like, yes, this is a call to action. This is an epic movie. This is an adventure. I'm doing this. All I got to do is have a little bit of willpower. So again, get into the habit. Those first steps are going to be challenging because it's about reconditioning. But once you start getting those dreams where you're just like, oh my gosh, that was so psychedelic and so awesome and so amazing, I want to be able to, like, humbling to be able to know that we are doing it together. And again, let this broadcast be something that just collectively inspires all of us to go kick butt there. And again, plant those seeds by having conversations with more people. So again, it's fascinating. Just think that, like, yeah, we're shifting paradigms physically, but in the dream space, there's a lot that's happening as well. And we need to be present there so that we can, again, bring the awareness across all dimensions. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Sweet. Okay. Just reading any more comments there. I have a suggestion for another class subject. Magic, says Balance. Yes, absolutely. We will definitely get into more of those specific topics. All of us will be a pro by then, says Lacey. And the spiritual path is not for wussies, says Jenna. Literal quote from a friend. Translation: it's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it. Absolutely. Sweet. All right, so with that said, passing it over to, again, we got Erica and Oliver. Any closing gratitude or just takeaways that you want to be able to share, an inspiration, please feel free to do that before we get closer to the closing meditation. Erica, Oliver, go ahead.
I just want to express really good gratitude for you, Brendon, and for all the people who give some tips about how to work yourself and be present for your dream. I know it's important for me to be able to be in there more for my dream, and like it's really helped me just to listen out all your story and all your tip. I know for now I have a really buzzy life. I'm just never stop, and like just being able to have 8 hours of sleep is like really tough for me, but I have to do it. And like sometimes you told this to yourself, and when you listen it first from somebody else, I think it's kind of powerful more than if you just saying it to yourself. So like thank you very much to be like we are all teacher and learner from each other, and that's the point to being a part of paradigm shift. be a part of that team is to be able to learn about what others living and be able to share what you're living. And with all of this, we become a better and a higher and a wonderful and a loving version of ourselves. So thank you very much, guys, to be there. And for now, I'm really so sleepy. Um, but I really want to do that meditation with you guys. So
yes,
I will be able to just continue the little 10 or 15 minutes it will continue. And thank you very much, guys.
Awesome, absolutely. Thank you again, Oliver. And yeah, again, you know, like the way how I see it is that, like, if you show up for your dreams will show up for you. So your dreams are here to serve you. It's literally you serving yourself. Again, through dreams, it is a direct way to be able to merge our 5D consciousness with our 3D incarnation, if you want to think of it that way. So again, for everybody here, for everybody in the live chat, let's bring ourselves into accountability. So, like, for everybody here, I want you to say in your own words something along the lines of, like, what's the best way to say this? Like, I am going to show up for my dreams, or like, I am going to practice more of my dreams. Like, or maybe it's something more specific that it's like, I'm going to start journaling again, or something like that. Create your own form of accountability. Drop that into the YouTube comments. Even after the live broadcast, for those of you listening into the future, please leave a YouTube comment. That YouTube comment is literally you, like, creating a contract between yourself and the universe to be like, oh, okay, they left a comment, then that makes it official, right? So give yourself that space to be able to create accountability for yourself within the dream space, and within this broadcast as well, so within the community. Sweet. Awesome. Okay, cool. And Erica, if we can pass over to you to just express any gratitude, please feel free. And yeah, any other closing thoughts as well? Go ahead, Erica.
Well, as far as preparing for sleep, like, I'm gonna have some tea and then turn my phone off, have the window open, and keep a journal by my bed as well. Resume like pencil and journal. So
awesome, beautiful. Yeah, and again, that's a great place to start. So I mean, even for people watching this, like, if you haven't bought a dream journal, go out and buy one. Like,
or just a piece of paper. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah. I do think that when you literally, like, go out, like, go to, like, Staples or, you know, some sort of, like, you know, bookstore or something, and you buy a dream journal, like, that act in itself can kind of, like, make it a little bit more ceremonial, and maybe even get a journal that maybe looks a little bit more magical. Doodle on the front, create, like, be like, this is my dream journal, and, like, write in it and stuff. But I highly suggest that you don't just use, like, you don't write your dreams in like your regular journal. Create a separate journal just for your dreams as well. I would recommend that. So cool. Yeah,
awesome,
cool, awesome,
yeah.
Sweet. Well, Erica, thank you. Yes, thank you again for being here and for being a part of the dream class. Appreciate you being here. Awesome, wonderful, sweet. All right, so with that said, like I said, we're gonna close off with a very short meditation. Can you guys hear my watch beeping in the background? I apologize. No, okay, thank goodness, because that would be embarrassing. Here I am trying to act all professional and stuff like that, right? Oh God. Anyways, all right, thank you again, everyone, so much for being a part of this broadcast. I'm gonna set up some picture stuff here just to be able to give us a little bit of a visual for the dream tree meditation. And let's see if this is gonna work or not. Hold on, I know my thing's like frozen right now. Give me 2 seconds for those of you watching on YouTube, and I am going to click a button here. No, that's the wrong button. Where's the button that I want to click here? That button. That's the button that I want to click. Oh no, that's not the right button. Jeez, where is it? Anyways, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring up a picture of the dream tree so that you can have something to be able to reference. And basically, what we're going to do, we're going to go into a simple meditation, and this oh, that's the button there. Okay, cool. Sweet. Okay. Watch this. All right, here we go. Here we go. Watch. Here we go. Just 1 second. This isn't even like the full image, but it's still just going to give you some sort of reference. There we go. Okay, sweet. So now people on YouTube, they can see what I'm talking about. This is the image of the dream tree. It's not even the full image because I just had like there's text and stuff over it. You'll see like the visual that we're working with here is like a tree in the middle of a field. Imagine this tree to be as magical as you wish to make it, and also like imagine like the paradigm shift sigil floating above it. So the paradigm shift sigil, for those of you who aren't entirely familiar, I'll just kind of like, let's see, I'll just like transition to this. So this is on screen right now. Like that's the paradigm shift sigil. You guys in the hangout, you can't see it, but I think you already know what I'm talking about. And then, so again, imagine like that sigil, like floating up above the tree. And this is kind of like this ongoing model of the dream tree that we've been creating. And basically the intention here is to drop into a meditative space. Yeah, sure. Let's activate our Merkaba a little bit. We're going to go to the dream space. We're going to build a relationship with it, connect with it, and then create the intention to be able to return to it so that in your dreams, you can like return to this space. So as you fall asleep at night, you can like think about it. So again, let's get nice and comfortable and we'll walk ourselves through this. If you have a light guardian crystal, please feel free to activate it if you haven't already. And after this, we will wrap up the broadcast. So with that said, getting nice and comfortable. Thank you everyone again for being a part of this wonderful, wonderful, sacred ceremony that we've created here together. So, with that said, just bring yourself into a place where you can sit comfortably, maybe you even want to lie down. If you feel like you're ready to fall asleep during this broadcast, that's okay. Whatever you can do to just bring yourself into a place where you'll be able to maintain a certain degree of stillness, as much stillness as possible. Gently close your eyes if you haven't already yet. Straighten up your spine. And connect with your breath. Gentle inhales through the nose. Gentle exhales through the nose and the mouth. Simply focus on the breath right now. As you breathe in through the inhale, you feel that moment when the inhale meets the exhale. And with each breath, you just invite yourself to feel more relaxed. Dropping into this theta state where you're able to hear my voice, allow it to guide you, allow it to lead you through the visualizations of this meditation. Continuing to be aware of the rhythm of your breath will gently bring our focus into our imagination. To start off, you can gently imagine the feeling of grass underneath your feet and the feeling of dirt between your toes. And now slowly begin to build this world around you in which you are in an open field, and off in the distance you can see the dream tree atop a small hill and surrounded by other shifters, other light guardians, other dreamers. You see them dancing, celebrating, and this tree has its own magical glow to it. And you can see the paradigm shift sigil above it, emitting its own frequency like a beacon, sending out a signal to call shifters to this place. And this is a very real place, one that many of us have created over these past several years and moons and beyond. One that in itself is timeless, here to serve us. And so visualizing this space a little bit more before we start moving towards the tree, even building the landscape of the horizon, instead of it just being a regular sky, kind of imagine as if it's like a starry night, but it's still daytime. You can see nebulas in the sky. And from here, at this point, gently imagine yourself floating off the ground, feeling the moment where your toes lift off and you no longer feel the grass underneath you. Bring sensation to, bring a distance of people laughing and smiling and talking. And just feeling the energy of the space, a calming and yet a rejuvenating and enlivening and exciting energy. At this moment, gently begin activating, or at least visualizing, the activation of your Merkaba field. So imagine like a triangle facing downwards, slowly beginning to spin, and this is like an iridescent multicolor triangle, kind of like rainbow colors moving in and out of one another. Then you imagine another triangle, again more of a pyramid, facing upwards, and it spinning in the opposite direction. And you can even imagine yourself either sitting in a lotus position, or even just imagine that you are moving yourself from the center of your chest. Like there's an orb at the center of your chest, and that is what moves. It is not necessarily you trying to move your entire body, but it is you willing yourself forward simply by orienting the direction of this point of light at the center of your chest. So in this moment, begin to feel almost like a gravitational pull from the tree itself, moving you towards it while also guiding yourself forward. Imagining yourself floating through the sky. It's not a long distance, so you slowly feel yourself floating. Again, just imagining this, just imagining it with as much detail as possible. And you keep floating for a few more moments, taking in what the sensation feels like for you as you approach the dream tree. As you get closer to the dreams tree, you begin to see more details of it. You begin to see crystalline figures in its branches, almost like instead of apples, there's like little Merkabas hanging off its branches, or anything else you want to imagine that makes it magical to you in this moment. Slowly begin to bring yourself back to the surface. So your Merkaba just kind of dissolves, yet it doesn't disappear. It just kind of goes invisible. And you gently bring your feet onto the grass in front of the tree. And so again, at this point, there are many other people around the dream tree. You see them talking, you see them giving massages, you see them dancing, you see them making art, you see them journaling, you see them meditating. And in this moment, simply walk up to the tree and slowly pay attention to the exact moment when you make contact with it, and make contact with intention. So bring your hand closer to it, maybe just raising one hand or two hand, maybe having one hand on your heart. Even physically, if you want to put your hands on your heart, that's totally fine in this moment. And feel that moment when your fingers in your hand literally connect with the tree. And as you do this, just imagine like a flow of love kind of pouring in from the tree and into your arm and into your heart and through your body and through your Merkaba. And so in this moment, bring yourself closer to the tree and even imagine yourself hugging it if you want. And this tree has its own voice, has its own intelligence, has its own sentience, has a wisdom to it. And so this tree in this moment, it gently speaks to you, and it says something along the lines of, "My child, it has been so long. It is so wonderful to see you again. I am grateful to be in this moment, to share this love together." And so in this moment, allow yourself to pour your love into the tree while also being able to receive the love from the tree as well. Knowing that as you do this, literally as you spend time in this space, your love is helping crystallize the tree into this shared dream space. So it's like we're building it together. We're actualizing it together. Pour your love into this, bring this into form, while also creating a connection between yourself and the tree, one that will help guide you back here within the dream space, within the imagination, within your heart. So continue to be in this moment as you breathe, feel your breath connecting with the tree, hugging it nice and strong yet gentle, feeling its ancient love pouring through you, feeling its wisdom coming up from the roots, feeling the tree as a soul itself, connecting to the crystal of the heart of Gaia itself. And right now, set the intention of reminding yourself this feeling, and let this feeling be a guide for you to return to this space. This absolute love, this deep sense of presence and magic. Take a few more breaths here in your own silence and just really connect with this moment. Encode it into your heart and listen to what else the tree has to say to you, and say to the tree anything else you wish to in these next few moments. Go ahead. Take a few more moments here. Notice any tingling sensations up the spine. Focus on expressing your gratitude for the tree. Feel its love. Feel your love for it. When you are ready, gently release your hug slowly. Maybe even take a few more moments here. Maybe imagine yourself placing your forehead against the tree, creating any sort of ritual you want with it, really just connecting with it. Creating that intention to return to this space in our shared dreams. Once you have done this, gently turn your back to the tree and sit down at the trunk of the tree in lotus position. Imagine yourself sitting there, feeling the trunk of the tree running up your spine. Again, feeling the energy of it, this constant flow of electricity, energy, love, magic, moving up the tree trunk, through the branches, beyond the tree branches, into the signal from the paradigm shift sigil, and into yourself. Take another look around you, see everyone in this space, remind yourself, and see familiar faces. Look around, imagine people within this broadcast. Oh, there's Ariana. She's over there doing her thing. Oh, there's Lacey. She's like turning into a monarch butterfly or something like that. That's cool too. Okay, that's neat. Oh, what's Brendon doing? Oh, is he shooting fireballs out of his hands? Oh, no, he's going Super Saiyan. Oh, okay, that's pretty neat too. Oh, and there's Erica. She's making music with the sound of her heart. Wow, I didn't even know you could do that. How cool. Oh, and there's Dan. He's creating psychedelic images just by thinking about them. How fascinating. Very cool. So anybody else, just imagining them in this space, bringing a smile to your face. Oh, and there's Oliver. Oh, he's dressed up like a cheetah or something, and he's got his free hug sign, and he's giving people free hugs too. Oh, that's awesome. And so again, just see your friends in this space. See the intention to return to this space in ceremony, in celebration, as festivity. Create that intention. Feel that connection between this present moment and the future. Know that in a non-linear sense, we are already there. Allow the heart to be the path back to that space. With your back against the tree trunk, sit in this space. Take a few moments to observe everyone around you. And in the next few moments, we'll begin to conclude this meditation. So just sit here in your breath. Feel this space. Look at the people around you. Look up at the tree. See its crystalline structure. See its energy. Feel your heart. Be present in this moment. By being present now, you align with the presence of being here in the future, which is also the now. Take a few more deep breaths. Straighten up your spine just a little bit. Deep, gentle inhales. Nice, big exhales, maybe with a bit of a sigh. Magic. Take a couple more breaths here. Deep, gentle inhale. Continue to imagine yourself sitting under this tree. This is where you will remain as we conclude this meditation. And know that you will still continue to be here so that you can return here in your own imagination. Next time you go to sleep or during the day, you can imagine yourself teleporting into the field and arriving back to the same spot. Or maybe you wake up within the dream underneath the tree already. Give gratitude for this space. Give gratitude to this dream. Give gratitude to the tree. Give gratitude to the community. Bring it all into your heart and let that be the path which guides you back here. Take a couple more breaths. Remember this feeling. The feeling will guide you. The truth of this moment will guide you. Slowly, when you're ready, gently begin to bring your awareness back to this physical body, continuing to breathe nice and gently. And gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, open your eyes and return your awareness to the space around you. Beautiful. Awesome. So we'll just give everyone a moment here to gently come back. Welcome back, fellow dreamers. Awesome. Well, just before we wrap up, of course, if anybody just wants to leave any comments in the live chat, how was that little meditation for you? Did you see it? Did you imagine anything in particular you want to share? Did you feel a connection? Any feedback? Greatly appreciated. And so again, for leading members here, if you guys want to share anything, if you children of the earth want to share anything, please feel free. And then we'll get ready to close this off, and we will call it a night, or call it a conclusion for this broadcast. Maybe you're listening to this. Maybe you're listening to this in the morning. That's cool too. So awesome. Did anybody else in the broadcast here want to share just anything? And again, even if it's just gratitude, that's totally fine. Raise a finger if you want to share anything. How was that for you? Ariana, yeah, go ahead.
It was just a beautiful meditation. Thank you so much. I'm usually the one guiding, so it was lovely to just be in that space. And I was right there, and I felt all of us there really building it together. And I feel like I just started a wonderful Dungeons and Dragons campaign with the best raiding party ever. Like, this is awesome.
That's right. A physical raiding party. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Sorry, anybody else want to share anything before we conclude this? And it's totally cool either way, so cool. All right, so last call, you're good? I think Oliver fell asleep. Straight up, I think guys, don't be too loud. Oliver is literally just asleep right now, which is beautiful. So, that's okay. I just hope he gets to like make himself to bed. That's awesome. Oh man, okay, that's beautiful. Sending good vibes to Oliver. He's like literally at the dream tree right now. So, oh, that's cute. All right, thank you again, everyone. Paper Druid, I imagined us all like merging into each other as we sat under the tree. Very cool, very cool. Thank you, Paper Druid, as well. So, awesome, wonderful. All right, so thank you again, everyone, for being a part of this broadcast. This has been another beautiful dream class here. I think this one was this like 3 hours, 3.5? I don't know. But this will be uploaded and posted onto my Instagram as well. So if you're watching it there, please feel free to share your comments. Wrapping up this broadcast, though, just reminding you to be sure to connect to ParadigmShiftCentral.com, download our mobile app, connect to our team live chat if you wish. Be sure to check out our Patreon. Again, this is made possible by Patreon supporters. We're working towards our current monthly goal of 150 supporters by the end of August. You can also send individual tips. You can do that through the Patreon as well. So if you're just like, the monthly thing isn't for me, but I can send additional tips, It all appreciated. It is all appreciated. And of course, just share this broadcast with your friends. Just help them know. Let them know that this is a thing that they can be a part of. That is greatly appreciated. And of course, if you want to get more cool things, check out the questitemshop.com where you can get your Light Guardian crystals and try those for yourself. And of course, be sure to subscribe at youtube.com/SkullBabylon, Mystic Spider-Man on Instagram, Paradigm Shift Radio on iTunes, and you can find that all through the main Paradigm Shift Central website. And go check out the entries online, such as Lacey's Lucid Dream log and more content still to come in the future. So yeah, thank you again, everyone. Let's continue to just kind of like the why we do this as shifters, as light guardians. This is about being able to intentionally help shift consciousness with creativity and compassion by leveling ourselves up within the game, by unlocking more abilities within our heart, and by continuing to become better dreamers within the dream. So thank you so much for carrying this vibration with you, for carrying the shift with you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Have a beautiful sleep if you're going to sleep, and we will see you at the dream tree. Fellow shifters, please feel free to gently unmute yourself, and we will begin to say good night, good morning, good evening, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Oliver, you woke up just in time. Thank you, Oliver. Oliver, we were just sending you good vibes. We were like, oh, Oliver's still at the dream tree. He's taking his time. So beautiful.
Love you
All
guys.
right, so again, for everyone here, just join me in sending love to all the people tuned into this. And until next time, keep it shifty, and we'll see you in the future. Good night, everyone. Send some love, make some noise. Go ahead. We love you guys.
Bye.
Awesome. Love you guys.
See you guys.
Dream lucid. All right. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you again to our friend Danny Leonardo, whose music is featured at the beginning and end of this podcast episode. Be sure to check out her music and more of her work down in the information in YouTube below. Thank you, Danny.